Chapter 527. Huamin first dealt a card to Su Yu. Then, Su Yu picked up the card and glanced at it expressionlessly. He then raised his head and looked at Huamin with a complicated look in his eyes. There seemed to be 1,000 things he wanted to say. Huamin didn't look at Su Yu. Instead, he continued to deal cards to Qin Chu. After both of them received their cards, the dealer reminded them, "You can reveal your cards now." Su Yu slowly spread out his card. It was a queen. The truth was, when he received the queen, he knew that he was going to lose. There was no ace, so the king was the biggest. Since he received a queen, then the king must be in Qin Chu's hands. As expected, when Qin Chu spread out his card, it was a king of hearts. The crowd was once again in an uproar. Then, thunderous applause. "I declare President Qin the winner. He is the god of gamblers of the Knight of Lawrence's Pearl," the foreign executive announced. The crowd went wild. Not far away, Wei Liao took out a cigarette. He took a deep puff and didn't say anything. Lord Su lost. He lost to Qin Chu. Tang Chuan was very unhappy. His heart ached for the bottle of Louis XIV. Wrong, he didn't lose to Qin Chu. He lost to Huamin, Wei Liao said with deep meaning. At the last moment, the director of the cruise ship, Lawrence, presented himself. Beside him was the most popular actress in Hollywood. He personally signed a $30 million check to Qin Chu and took a photo with him as a souvenir. When Huamin walked off the stage, he walked past Su Yu and said, "I'm sorry." "You're welcome," Su Yu replied out of the blue. Then, he stood up and left. He didn't participate in this luxurious celebration. After the God of Gamblers was decided, Lawrence ordered people to open 100 bottles of champagne. The atmosphere was great. A popular male singer from Europe and America started singing a rock song with a strong rhythm. Zhu Lingling forced Huamin to dance in the crowd. Huamin actually felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Su Yu had already opened his mouth to beg her. He only wanted to dance with her. However, she didn't give him a chance and left all the benefits to Qin Chu. Qin Chu walked down the stage and hugged Huamin. "Thank you for your hard work." "Not at all. Thank you, honey. This is what I should do." Huamin chuckled. Qin Chu's victory was her wish. However, why do I always feel inexplicably sorry for Su Yu in my heart? Inside the cruise ship suite, "You're tired today. Go to bed early." Wei Liao comforted her. "You sleep first. I'm a bit bored, I want to go out and get some fresh air. Don't tell me you're going to jump into the sea." "Lord Su. No, I'm not tired of living yet." After speaking, Su Yu turned around and walked out of the room. Su Yu sat down on a deck chair on the deck. Then, he picked up the bottle of wine he just brought and started drinking. He didn't think he did anything wrong. He just wanted to dance with her. Was it that hard to stand under the spotlight with her? Drinking alone? A voice sounded. Su Yu turned around and was a bit surprised. "Why are you here?" Hua Xiqian slowly walked over in a bathrobe. "I wanted to come on the first day, but something came up at the company. You know that my old man's youngest son likes to cause trouble. As soon as he came back from the Philippines, he couldn't stop and gave me a lot of trouble. I forced myself to come over. Luckily, I didn't miss the exciting scene." "Haha, yeah, it was exciting enough." Su Yu smiled bitterly. Hua Xiqian poured 2 glasses of wine and handed one to Su Yu. Then, he slowly said, "There's nothing to be upset about. You have to get used to it. Mion's feelings for Qin Chu didn't just happen in a day or two. They accumulated over time, understand?" "Yes, I understand." When Su Yu said this, he felt a dull pain in his chest. He knew that the person Huamin loved was Qin Chu. It had always been Qin Chu. Why did he still have a sliver of hope? "So, why don't you just let it go? Young Master Su, you can get anything you want. Why do you have to tire yourself out?" Hua Xiqian took a sip of wine and looked at Su Yu. Chapter 528. Let go. That's impossible. Su Yu took a big gulp of wine. "Why do you have to? Haha. Once I, Su Yu, set my mind on something, I won't give up halfway. I won't play dirty tricks, I'll just take Huamin from her. It's okay if she doesn't like me, I can wait. I can wait for her to divorce, for her to break up with Qin Chu, and for her to slowly fall in love with me. I have a lot of time anyway. It really doesn't matter. After speaking, Su Yu took another big gulp of wine. Hua Xiqian could tell that he was in a bad mood. That little sister of mine, Mion, is a demon. She doesn't have the looks to cause the downfall of cities, nor does she have a powerful background, but she always makes people want to get close to her. Hua Xiqian sighed. Even if she's a demon, I'm going to marry her. In this lifetime, I won't give up until I marry Hua Min. With a pa sound, Su Yu threw an empty bottle into the vast ocean. This man seemed to be determined. Despite being thwarted time and time again, he didn't give up. Instead, he became braver and braver. I really have to admire your spirit, haha. Hua Xiqian laughed maniacally. Don't talk about me, don't you treat her differently too? Su Yu said openly. Yeah, I like her a lot. Hua Xiqian didn't hide it. But she's your little sister. Even if you're not a member of the Hua family, you're still related in name. Don't make things worse, I'll take her myself. Haha. I hope you succeed soon. Hua Xiqian didn't say anything else and only laughed. When he boarded the cruise, he saw Hua Min dealing out the cards. Su Yu's loss was inevitable, however, he did not expect that Su Yu would fall so deeply. He knew that the love between Qin Chu and Hua Min was stronger than gold, but he still did not intend to let go. Su Yu and Hua Xiqian were drunk on the deck. When he came down, he was carried back by Wei Liao. Therefore, being friends with young Master Su was very stressful, because he caused trouble for you at any time, and you had to deal with the aftermath. Hua Min, dance, reveal. Su Yu mumbled in his sleep. Damn you. Can you please stop? I've been hanging out with you for a year and I'm already 10 years older. Don't worry about me, Wei Liao scolded as he carried Su Yu. However, he did not expect to run into Hua Min at the door. You. Wei Liao didn't know what to say when he saw Hua Min. Is he okay? He's fine, he's just drunk. Is he still seasick? Maybe, he's not seasick anymore. This is seasickness medicine, I got it from the reception desk. Remember to give him some. Also, if he drinks too much and goes straight to sleep, his brain will be damaged. Why don't you let him take a shower before he goes to sleep? Why, do you care so much about him? Wei Liao was confused. Just think of it as me learning from Lei Feng. After speaking, Hua Min stuffed the seasickness medicine into Wei Liao's bathrobe pocket, turned around, and left. Wei Liao was speechless. During the 3 days on the cruise, Hua Min was nervous and excited. When he came down, he suddenly felt relieved. He was afraid that he would miss work, so he went to Southside early in the morning. The local media reported on the cruise without restraint, but they only talked about how GK's president won the God of Gamblers title and the prize money. They didn't talk about anything else. Qin Chu deposited all 120 million yuan into Hua Min's account and got her a supreme black card. That day, GK's stock price skyrocketed by 8 points. That night, as soon as Hua Mion got off work and entered the house, Qin Chu grabbed her hand and led her out. Honey, where are we going? Go to Dongdao Town with me, there's news. Upon hearing the news from Dongdao Town, Hua Min was extremely excited. She held on to Qin Chu's hand and asked, what news? Chapter 529. I sent someone to investigate the health center where you were born. There's an old man guarding the door. He's an honest man, and apparently, he worked at the health center for 10 years. Later, his niece took him to the south to retire. He just came back to Dongdao Town a few days ago. I checked the address and information, and I think it might be useful, Qin Chu said slowly. Hua Min was in a great mood, and she immediately grabbed Qin Chu's hand and walked out. Let's not waste any time, let's go. Downstairs, Hua Min was confused when she saw Qin Chu get into the Volkswagen CC. We're not driving the Maybach? Wasn't the Maybach faster? Get in first, I'll explain. Qin Chu looked at her. Hua Min understood what he meant. She sat in the front passenger seat and fastened her seatbelt. Then, the car slowly drove out of Imperial Park. Because I think there's something fishy about your case. Someone might be trying to sabotage you, so I think we should keep a low profile. Dongdao Town has a population of less than 50,000, and it's not very developed. Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs are rare, so I think the Maybach would be too eye-catching. You're so thoughtful, I was too impatient. Huimin felt a chill run down her spine after hearing what Qin Chu said. Perhaps she was too desperate to find her family, so she neglected a lot of things. Qin Chu already said last time that a lot of useful clues and people had mysteriously disappeared or died. Even the archive was burned down by a fire, so she didn't think it was a coincidence. It was very likely that there was a mastermind behind all of this, so the investigation in Dongdao town couldn't be too big of a deal. First of all, they had to keep a low profile. The Volkswagen CC wasn't slow, so the two didn't take the highway. Instead, they took the road and arrived at Dongdao town in less than 2 hours. By the time they arrived, the sky was already dark. The town wasn't like the city, where lights were always on after dark. Because of the small population, the few businesses in town all turned off their lights early. Are we going directly to that old man's house? Huimin asked nervously. Yes. After making several turns, Qin Chu slowly stopped the car at a bungalow area at the edge of the town. We're here. Which house? Huimin asked as he looked at the dark house in front of him. The second from the bottom in the last row. Huimin looked over according to Qin Chu's words and saw a very old house. It was the kind of house that was built with mud bricks. Nowadays, very few people still lived in such houses. The two of them walked on a muddy dirt road and finally arrived at the house. It was already past 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in autumn was already considered dark in the north. The lights in the surrounding houses were on, but this one was not. It was dark inside, and it looked a little creepy. Something's not right. Be careful of us, Huimin whispered to Qin Chu, feeling that something was wrong. Okay, you wait here. I'll go knock on the door. No, I'll go with you. Huimin was still worried and didn't want to wait here. Instead, she grabbed Qin Chu's hand tightly. She wasn't a timid person. When she was in medical school, she could dissect a corpse by herself without feeling anything. In the hospital, she could push a corpse to the morgue by herself, but this time, it was different. It was a very ominous feeling. Seeing that Huimin didn't want to go with him, Qin Chu had no choice but to take her to the shabby door. Bang, bang, bang. Qin Chu knocked on the door 3 times with a lot of force. If there was anyone inside, they would have heard it. Meow, meow, meow. A black cat suddenly jumped out of nowhere. Huimin was so scared that she immediately hugged Qin Chu tightly. Don't be scared. Excuse me, is Mr. Yang home? Qin Chu knocked on the door again and shouted inside. Chapter 530. After a while, there was still no response. Qin Chu didn't give up. Just as he was about to push the door open, he heard a voice behind him. Who are you looking for? Huimin turned around and saw a tall, dark-skinned boy around 15 or 16 years old. He held a basketball in his hand and was sweating profusely. It seemed like he just came back from playing basketball. Little boy, we're looking for the owner of this house. Have you seen him before? Huimin asked politely. We're Grandpa Yang's distant relatives, Qin Chu added. You're looking for Grandpa Yang. The little boy's expression was a little strange. He's not home. I heard that he came back a few days ago, Qin Chu said. He is dead. The little boy hesitated for a moment and said slowly. What? Dead? Huimin and Qin Chu both exclaimed at the same time. It happened 2 nights ago. He was supposed to be buried yesterday, but we have a custom here. We can't bury him on the 7th or 8th day of the new year, so we had to wait until tomorrow. Grandpa Yang didn't have many relatives, only a niece in the south. She didn't seem to be doing well, and he didn't have any money. The village chief said that the body should be put in the morgue in town and cremated tomorrow before being buried. How could a person die just like that? Huimian was extremely disappointed. She had finally found a clue, but it was strangely cut off. The little boy scratched the back of his head and said, I'm not sure. My mom said that Grandpa Yang committed suicide by drinking drugs because he had no children and couldn't go back to his niece's home. But I don't think so. Grandpa Yang was a very easygoing and optimistic person. The day before he died, he even played chess with me. Huimin and Qin Chu both fell into deep silence. Cheng, what are you waiting for? Come back for dinner, a woman in her 30s yelled from afar. Okay, Mom. After speaking, the boy turned around and said, I can't talk to you guys anymore. Mom's calling me home for dinner. Thank you, little brother. Huimin nodded at him. Seems like we're late. Qin Chu said in a low voice. That's right. He actually died. How strange. What do you want to do now? Qin Chu asked Huimin. I want to take a look at the village head's house. That's what I thought too. Let's go. In the end, Qin Chu and Huimin did not enter Grandpa Yang's old house. Instead, they inquired about the location of the village head's house and went directly to a big house built with iron tiles at the entrance of the village. This was the village head's man. It was said that the village head's surname was Zhu. He was quite popular and had a good reputation in the village. You two are. You guys, we are Uncle Yang's distant relatives. We heard that he came back a few days ago, so we wanted to visit him. But we heard that he died. What happened? Huimin pretended to be Uncle Yang's relatives according to Qin Chu's explanation. When the village head heard that they were relatives, he seemed to relax a lot and invited them into the house. What kind of relatives are you? Why haven't I heard him mention you before? Didn't he only have one niece? The village head looked at Qin Chu and Huimin in confusion. It's like this. Uncle Yang and my family are old relatives. We haven't seen each other for many years. My parents want to find some relatives in their hometown, so they asked me to come and take a look. I heard that Uncle Yang came back from the south, so I wanted to visit him today. Oh, I see. Then you guys are too late. He's dead. I heard. But what happened? It's too sudden. How did he die? Qin Chu asked again about the cause of death. Also, there's no benefit to be gained from doing so. Don't bully me because I'm a farmer who doesn't study much, but there's still a motive to kill, right? The village chief felt that Huimin's question was a little ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'm just asking. After all, we don't feel good if we can't find Uncle Yang. It's okay, I can understand. By the way, judging by your clothes, you must be from the city, right? Where are you from? The village chief didn't know if he asked this intentionally or not. Qin Chu pressed down on Huimin's hand and said, We're from T-City. We're just running a small business in the city. Oh. Old Yang is really unlucky. If you guys had come earlier, if he knew that he had relatives, he wouldn't have killed himself, the village chief said slowly. Qin Chu quietly took out his wallet and took out 10,000 yuan and handed it to the village chief. Chief, take this as the cost for tomorrow's cremation. Use the rest to find a good grave for Uncle Yang. I hope he can rest in peace. This. The village chief seemed to be shocked by the 10,000 yuan. Take it, chief. Sorry for troubling you. We still have things to do, so I'm afraid we won't be able to attend the funeral tomorrow, Qin Chu added. Okay. Don't worry, I'll take care of it properly. The village chief took the 10,000 yuan with trembling hands and promised again. When they left the village chief's house, it was almost 10 at night. The village chief was very enthusiastic and asked his wife to cook a few dishes for them. However, Huimin and Qin Chu didn't eat. After getting into the car, Qin Chu asked, Honey, how much of the village chief's words do you believe? Half, Huimin replied calmly. What, do you suspect that there's something wrong with him? Huimin looked at Qin Chu and continued to ask. Chapter 532. We can't say for sure yet, there are too many suspicious points. Are we leaving the village now? Aren't we going to check out Uncle Yang's old house? Huimin thought about the creepy old house. Although she was scared, she still wanted to check it out. What if there were clues? Qin Chu shook his head. It's too risky. If Uncle Yang really was murdered, then the killer is probably still watching the old house right now. We're outsiders, and it's already very suspicious that we're visiting the village. If we enter the house, we'll alert the killer. Plus, if he killed us, why would he leave any evidence behind? I just can't accept it. Huimin understood what Qin Chu said, but she was right. She just couldn't accept it. It wasn't easy for her to get close to her biological parents, but it was cut off again. It was a terrible feeling. Chin Chu drove with one hand and patted the back of Huomin's hand with the other. I know, Mion, you have to stay calm. All the mysteries will be solved one day. As long as I'm alive, I'll do everything I can to help you find your biological parents so that you can reunite with them as soon as possible. Maybe they don't want to see me. Huomin began to feel depressed. It was rare for her to feel so depressed. They won't, they'll be happy to have such a cute daughter, Chin Chu comforted her. Honey, can I still find them? Huomin wasn't confident. Of course, as long as you want to, you can. Huomin didn't say anything, and the car silently drove on the small country road. The two originally planned to leave Dongdao town, but when they were a few hundred meters away from town, they stopped at a gas station to fill up. Huomin suddenly said, Honey, leave the car here, we'll take a taxi back. What's wrong? Chin Chu looked at her in confusion. If someone is watching us, they should know that we have left because they saw our car leave. If we take a taxi and go back halfway, no one will notice. But why are we going back? There's no point, the clues have been cut off. I have other things to do. Huomin smiled mysteriously. Chin Chu looked at her. Don't tell me you want to go to the morgue to dissect Uncle Yang's body. No, no matter what, Grandpa Yang's death is definitely not suicide. I already firmly believe that. Why? What if it was really suicide? I've never believed in coincidences. I only believe in inevitability. So, Uncle Yang's death was not a coincidence. It was carefully planned. Huomin was almost certain. Honey, I like how confident you are. As Chin Chu watched Huomin calmly analyze the situation, he suddenly felt that the extremely quick-witted woman had returned. He was instantly in a good mood. Let's go. Yes. The two left the CC at a gas station and took a taxi back to Dongdao town. There was a hotel in Dongdao town, and it was also the only hotel in the town. It was called the Minkang Hotel. Usually, there weren't many people there. Occasionally, a truck would stop by to rest. Business wasn't great, but it was still manageable. The decor was very old, and the floor area wasn't very big. When the two arrived at the Minkang Hotel, they saw a woman in her 40s wearing slippers and watching TV at the bar. Madam, do you have a room? Huomin asked with a smile. Yes, how many rooms do you want? 1. Give me your ID, I'll register it. Oh. I'm so sorry, we're on a business trip and didn't bring our IDs with us. Can we stay if we don't bring our IDs? Huomin said awkwardly. Actually, she and Chin Chu both brought their IDs, but they would never take them out because they wouldn't leave any evidence behind. Chapter 533. You didn't bring any? That won't do. You can't stay here without an ID card. They've been very strict recently. When the lady boss heard Huomin say that he didn't bring any, she immediately waved her hand and refused. Lady boss, can you please make an exception? We're really tired. We want to rest here for one night. Just one night is fine. I really can't. They're too strict. We're also afraid that they'll investigate. Do you know that they'll fine us? The lady boss didn't look at Huomin. She just kept eating sunflower seeds and watching TV. She seemed a little unreasonable. Chin Chu didn't say anything. He believed that Huomin had a way to deal with this kind of situation. As expected, Huomin took out 500 yuan notes from his pocket and placed them on the bar counter. What are you doing? The lady boss was immediately attracted by the money. Big sister, please make an exception. Can we give you 500 yuan for one night? When Huomin came in, he glanced at the prices at the door. The rooms here weren't divided into different tiers. There were only 6 rooms, and each room was 88 yuan. Therefore, if Huomin paid 500 yuan at once, it was equivalent to booking the entire hotel. The lady boss looked hesitant. If you don't agree, then we'll have to go to the next town. As he spoke, Huomin wanted to take the money back. The lady boss immediately pressed down on Huomin's hand. All right, stay here. But if someone comes to investigate later, you'll have to say that you're our relatives. Don't say that you're a guest, okay? Okay, thank you, big sister. In order to get closer, Huamin kept calling her big sister. Then, the two went up to the second floor. The innermost room was less than 10 square meters, and there was only one bed. There wasn't even a private bathroom. The bathroom was for public use. It was at the entrance of the second floor. It was very small and simple. However, in a place like this, the environment could only be like this. Honey, you insisted on coming back just to spend 500 yuan to stay in this small hotel? Qin Chu smiled at Huamin. 500 yuan was probably enough to stay in a 4-star hotel with a better environment. Don't worry, don't I have my reasons? What's the reason? Let's hear it. Qin Chu didn't know what Huamin wanted to do, but she definitely had a better idea. Since ancient times, inns have always been the best place to gather information. Because there are so many people coming and going, information is dense. So, I plan to give it a try and see if I can get anything out of this lady boss. Alright, then I'll leave the rest to you. Qin Chu was a man, so it was inconvenient for him to show up. After getting a room, they could only lie down in the room and bide their time. Otherwise, if the two of them went, they were afraid that the lady boss would be on guard. Then I'll go out and have a chat. Be careful. Qin Chu was still worried. I know. Huamin turned around and walked downstairs. Just then, the door of the room next door opened. A burly man with a dark face walked out in a pair of large underpants. His upper body was bare, and he was even holding a foot basin. When he saw Huamin, he froze. Huamin ignored him and went downstairs. Then, she moved a small stool and sat down in front of the bar. Miss, you don't have air conditioning here. It's pretty hot upstairs, so I came down to cool off. Huamin said as she picked up the fan on the bar. It wasn't hot in September, but the room in the inn was too small and the windows were small, so it was stuffy. This place doesn't have air conditioning. It's not like the hotels in the big cities. Plus, 88 yuan is already a good deal. It's not even enough to cover the electricity bill. We don't know how to install air conditioning. You're right. Huamin smiled. Then, she glanced at the TV show that the lady boss was watching. It turned out to be a very popular web series called Yuzui. It was said to be a highly intelligent and brain-burning show with a good plot. Miss, you like to watch these kinds of police and gangster shows too? Huamin looked at her in surprise. Chapter 534. Yeah, I watched it for fun. My daughter introduced it to me. She said all her classmates were watching it. Since we installed an internet connection last year, I decided to watch a few episodes for fun. Big sister, you look very young. How old is your daughter? Huamin asked casually. Take a guess. The big sister seemed to be in a good mood. Is she 15? Huamin asked softly. Haha. She's almost 25. Ah, that's old, but you look so young. Huamin was sweating profusely. I'm not young anymore. I'm 45. People here get married early. I got married when I was 19 and had a child when I was 20. No wonder. Haha, that's quite a coincidence. Your daughter is about the same age as me. I'm almost 25. My mother is a little older. She's almost 50. Huamin chatted casually. At that moment, the dark-skinned man came downstairs and gave the lady boss a look. The lady boss stood up and walked over. The two of them talked about something and looked at each other a few times. Huamin felt that it had something to do with him, so he became even more vigilant. In the end, the lady boss said something to the man, and the dark-skinned man turned around and went upstairs unhappily. Is that your husband? Big sister? How is that my husband? He's a truck driver. He's staying here overnight. The lady boss immediately denied. Huamin smiled faintly and didn't ask any more questions. He found a topic and asked, Big sister, when you gave birth, it was a natural birth, right? Did it hurt? Where did you give birth? Huamin thought that the woman's daughter was about the same age as her. If she also gave birth in the town's hospital, then, wouldn't he be able to take the opportunity to ask about what happened back then? My daughter was not even a month old, and I accidentally slipped and fell, so I gave birth prematurely. The hospital in our town did not have any skills, and those doctors had not seen the world, so they did not dare to accept me. So my husband called a tricycle and sent me to the hospital in the city. After a day and a night, I finally gave birth. After that, I thought that I would only give birth to this one, and I would not have a second child even if I was beaten to death. Big sister, you only have one daughter. That's right, he's the only one. The old woman was quite proud. That's good. It's a lighter burden to have a child. Nowadays, raising a child requires a lot of energy and money. Little sister, you speak so well. You must be from the city. Your husband is so handsome. The lady boss smiled. Ha, that's right. I followed my husband because he was so handsome. Huimin laughed. You're so lucky. I really envy you. You're young, pretty, and have such a good husband. Big sister, have you lived here for a long time? Yeah, it's been more than 20 years since I married. Do you know Dr. Lan? Which Dr. Lan? The lady boss asked absent-mindedly as she watched the TV series. The Dr. Lan who delivered the baby at the hospital. The lady boss's expression changed slightly when she heard this. Then, she looked at Huimin in confusion. Why are you asking about her? Ah, it's like this. Dr. Lan delivered my aunt's baby when she gave birth. Now, she wants a replacement birth certificate. The police station needs the hospital's stamp, and it has to be the hospital where she was born. At that time, there was no birth certificate, only a piece of paper. I saw that it was signed by Dr. Lan. Now, I want to ask if they can give me a replacement birth certificate, because that one has expired. I see. Then it's going to be tough. The lady boss shook her head. Chapter 535. What's wrong? Did Dr. Lan retire? Huimin asked on purpose. She didn't retire. She moved away. Her whole family moved away. Huh? Moved away? Where did they move to? I'm not sure. It has become one of the 3 unsolved mysteries in our town. I really don't understand. If you want to move, just move. Why do you have to be so secretive? They don't want the house, they don't want the furniture, and they didn't even take their clothes. I don't know what happened. It's really strange. You're saying, when Dr. Lan left, the house wasn't sold, the furniture was still there, and the clothes were still there. Only the people were gone, right? Yeah, it's so strange. No one knows where they went. Even now, their house is still empty. There's even grass growing in the yard. Oh, I see. Sis, what are the other 2 unsolved mysteries in your town? I'm just curious. I always want to hear interesting gossip. The other 2 mysteries are about the strange fire at the hospital. That fire, was there anything strange about it? Of course. It caught on fire in the middle of the night. No one could put it out. The fire was very strange. The strangest thing was that the other rooms were fine. Only the archives room caught fire. In the end, all the records were destroyed. The hospital had to rebuild the archives. Luckily, no one died. The fire was so scary that my husband and I went to the scene. You're saying, the fire couldn't be put out? How's that possible? Huimin smiled. It's true. You might not believe me even if I tell you, but the fire couldn't be extinguished by water. It kept burning and burning until it was extinguished by itself. The elders said that there was a monster in the room, a spider spirit or something like that. They said that it was a heavenly fire that was used to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and destroy those monsters. Haha, that's an interesting legend. What about the other one? Huimin continued to ask. The other one. The shop owner was about to say when a man walked in. He saw a man in his 40s walk in. He was thin and wore a black shirt. What nonsense are you talking about? You're back. The shop owner asked intimately. Huimin guessed that this was the boss's husband. The girl who came to stay in our inn is very curious, so I'll tell her some things about our town. What's there to talk about in town? Shut your mouth. The man seemed unhappy. I'm just chatting. Do you have to be like this? You go to sleep, I'll watch the rest of the night. After that, The man walked to the bar counter and turned off the lady boss's computer. Boss Nyan seemed to be a little afraid of her husband. She smiled awkwardly and then greeted Huamin. You should go back and sleep too. Bye-bye, big sister. Huamin felt that it was a pity that she did not hear the third unsolved mystery, but she vaguely felt that it was related to the hospital. It all seemed to be related to what had happened back then. An unquenchable fire? Haha, this is really interesting. I didn't come here in vain. After returning to the room, Huamin tiredly walked over and threw herself into Qin Chu's arms. Just as she was about to speak, she heard a loud noise coming from next door. Then, there was the sound of a human body rubbing against each other. It was very clear that it was coming from the room next door. Huamin suddenly thought of the black-faced man. Then, she imagined all kinds of scenarios. The soundproofing here isn't very good, right? Huamin smiled awkwardly. Qin Chu laughed and pinched Huamin's face. He deliberately teased her. How about we do it again? Chapter 536. Come my ass. I'm dog-tired. Let's go to sleep. After speaking, Huamin didn't even take off her clothes. Instead, she snuggled into Qin Chu's arms and closed her eyes. That's a good idea. This place is too small for some positions. Qin Chu smiled. Huamin closed her eyes, raised her fist, and punched Qin Chu again. You're so dirty, Mr. Qin. Go to sleep. Honey, did you? Qin Chu wanted to ask her what she got from downstairs for so long. However, Huamin suddenly opened her eyes and gave him a look. Qin Chu understood and immediately changed the topic. You were chatting downstairs for so long. I missed you. Okay. Let's go to sleep. We still have to travel tomorrow. Then, the two of them slept through the night. The truth was, Huamin didn't sleep well. She couldn't sleep well, as if a pair of eyes were constantly watching her. Later, she was so sleepy that she took a nap and had a strange dream. She dreamed that Uncle Yang was sitting in front of an old house with a black cat in his arms. Then, he suddenly fell to the ground and died. Then, she saw a figure standing in front of the old house. She couldn't tell who it was. Huamin wanted to chase after the figure. After running for a long time, she finally woke up. 6 a.m. Huamin and Qin Chu got up and left the motel in a hurry. They didn't even eat. After changing their car at the gas station, Huamin bought 2 loaves of bread and 2 bags of milk. She took them to the car and gave one to Qin Chu. You didn't tell me yesterday because you were afraid that someone was watching us? Huamin nodded. I can't guarantee that there aren't any surveillance cameras there. After all, technology is advanced these days. The owner's wife is very good at using computers. Did you find anything? Let me tell you something first. That motel is basically a den for prostitutes. What? Qin Chu almost spat out the milk in his mouth. Really, I'm not joking. You. How did you find out? Qin Chu found it difficult to digest such a large amount of information. First of all, Dongdao town doesn't have a lot of mobile heat sources, so their hotel won't have any business at all. Secondly, when I went out yesterday, a big man with a dark face came out from next door. He looked at me strangely, and when I went downstairs, he followed me and even pulled the owner's wife aside to have a chat. They spoke very softly, but I can read lips. I know that. You don't have to show off. Qin Chu smiled. Huamin knew how to read lips 7 years ago. Once, someone from the University of Public Security specially came over to poach Huamin to help with a case in the Criminal Investigation Department. This was because she knew sign language, lip reading, and other very strange languages. Moreover, other people would need several years to learn these, but she only needed less than 2 months. That man asked the owner's wife if I was new and how much it cost, and the owner said I was a guest. The man then said that he wanted to do something to a guest, but the owner said that I didn't come alone and told him not to cause trouble. So that black coal ball wanted to do something to you? Qin Chu's face immediately darkened. If he knew, he would have crippled him. Yeah, but the owner's wife talked him out of it. It seems like they're regular customers. Didn't you hear something last night? Although I didn't see a woman, it was definitely a prostitute provided by the owner's wife. Okay, Even if you guessed right, this has nothing to do with you. You went down for so long, didn't you ask anything? Of course not. I couldn't help but ask, and I got a lot of valuable information. Huimin smiled proudly. For example. Qin Chu looked at her. For example. I suspect that Dr. Lan's family didn't move at all. They were murdered. Murdered? Qin Chu frowned slightly. This was a lot of information. A family of 3 was murdered. That was crazy. Chapter 537. Huimin nodded. According to the owner, Dr. Lan's family didn't sell their house, didn't move their furniture, and didn't even take their clothes. It's as if they disappeared into thin air. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean they were killed. Maybe they left because of an emergency. Qin Chu didn't agree with Huimin's point of view. That's possible, but I think it's very unlikely. Think about Uncle Yang's death. You should know that the murderer isn't a kind person. If he didn't even let an old man go, why would he let Dr. Lan, the main witness? Don't forget that Dr. Lan was the main person involved in the whole incident. She's dead, so there's no evidence. I don't think a murderer who could quietly kill Uncle Yang and make it look like a suicide would be stupid enough to let Dr. Lan and her family escape. After Huimin finished his analysis, Qin Chu sucked in a breath of cold air. You're so meticulous. I overlooked the connection between the 2 cases. You're right, a suspect who could even kill an old man is a kind person. But everything depends on evidence. Should we go to Dr. Lan's old house and take a look? Of course not, unless it's absolutely necessary. We can't return to this town. Why? Seeing how cautious Huimin was, Qin Chu was a bit doubtful. Because there are too many eyes in this town and too many suspicious people. We don't know who is trustworthy, so we can't take the risk. If we find a new witness, we have to find her before that person kills her. Otherwise, we might be killed again. The owner's husband, that man, although I haven't interacted much with him, is very strange. How so? Huimin thought for a moment and carefully recalled, my 6th sense, a woman's sharp intuition. I feel like that person isn't as simple as he seems. Plus, it was the first time we met, and he didn't seem friendly to me. I feel like something's wrong. Maybe you're too nervous. Qin Chu comforted. Maybe, but I'm sure of one thing. What? The fire that burned down the archives of the health center was definitely man-made. Not only was it man-made, but it was also done by someone who knows a lot about chemistry. Oh, why do you say that? This was something that Qin Chu did not expect. Huimin looked at Qin Chu with a smile. The owner told me that the fire was very strange. He couldn't even extinguish the fire when he tried. That's why the old man said that it was a fire from the heavens, a fire meant to burn monsters to death. That's how the rumor spread. However, the owner's wife also witnessed the fire with her own eyes. She also said that the fire grew bigger after she watered it. It was very scary. Do you think, under those circumstances, the more she watered, the bigger the fire became? I understand now. The person who set the fire is someone who understands the principles of chemistry. He stored some chemical substances in the place where the fire started, such as potassium, sodium, magnesium, calcium carbide, quicklime, and other flammable substances. Because these substances react when they come into contact with water, not only did the fire not go out, it grew bigger and bigger. The people who didn't know the inside story thought it was some kind of heavenly fire. Yes, that's it. Huimin nodded. I didn't expect so many strange things to happen in a small town. Mion, I have a feeling that your biological parents are not ordinary people. Their identities might be very complicated, Qin Chu guessed as he looked at Huimin. I have that feeling too, Huimin said uneasily. But no matter what, I will help you find them. Don't worry, Qin Chu comforted him again. When the 2 returned to Sea City, they went straight to their respective workplaces. Huimin had just arrived at Southside when he heard a nurse say, "Head nurse, Deputy Director Guo wants you to go to his office." Okay. Huimin nodded. He hurriedly changed into his white lab coat and walked upstairs to the Deputy Director's office. Chapter 538. Huamin knocked on the door and walked in. Deputy Director Guo was leisurely sipping his tea. Unlike President Wu, he had a glib tongue. He was a wily old fox with a lot of schemes. Huamin didn't like his personality, but he had no choice since he was an old employee. Moreover, he was a senior executive, so Huamian had to deal with him. Huamian, you're here. Deputy Director Guo, you were looking for me? Come, sit down. His politeness made Huamin a little uneasy. Huamin sat down calmly. Deputy Director Guo put down the teacup in his hand and said slowly, Huamin, you've been at Southside for a while now, and your performance has been outstanding. As a leader, I admire your work attitude and dedication, but Huamin knew that Deputy Director Guo was implying something. He wouldn't praise her. But you've been taking a lot of time off recently. Sometimes, you didn't even apply in advance and just took 3 days off. You know how busy Southside is, and we're short on manpower. You're making things difficult for me, especially since President Wu approved your leave. But think about it, President Wu is in charge of the first hospital, and I'm in charge of Southside. So, if you have any problems in the future, you can just tell me. You don't have to bother President Wu. After all, he's so busy every day, and he doesn't want to take care of small things like this. What do you think? Huamin laughed in her heart when she heard that. So, it turned out that Deputy Director Guo didn't give him any face because she took a leave of absence. However, Qin Chu was the one who approved her leave for 3 days on Yunding Mountain and this time on Gamble God, okay? She didn't even have time to ask for leave. However, Huamin didn't want to argue with Deputy Director Guo, so she nodded and said, Deputy Director Guo, you're right. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, I won't argue with you about this. After all, you've been here for less than a year, so there are a lot of things that you don't know. You'll understand soon enough. Okay. Huamin nodded. Deputy Director Guo glanced at Huayaro and said, Huayaro, I've been renovating my new house recently, and I'm short on funds. I need about 2 million yuan. Can you lend me some of the money from the Hua Foundation? Consider it a loan. I'll fill in the money as soon as I have enough. I promise I won't delay your work. What do you think? After Deputy Dean Guo finished speaking, Huamin suddenly realized that criticizing him for asking for leave was just an excuse. That was their real motive. Did they want to touch the Hua Corporation's money? Haha. Vice Director, I won't lie to you. I don't have the right to touch the Hua Foundation's money. Moreover, it's such a large sum. Every time I want to move the money, I have to go through Mr. Hua Xiqian directly. How about this? I'll give him a call and tell him about your situation. I believe that with your relationship with President Hua, 2 million won't be a problem. Then, Huamin picked up his phone and pretended to make a call. However, Deputy Director Guo immediately stopped him. No. Don't bother President Hua with such a small matter. He's so busy every day. Why don't I think of something else to do with the renovations? Sure, but if you need any help, remember to let President Hua know. As long as President Hua agrees, I'll approve the money immediately. Huamin smiled slightly. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. Huayao, you can leave now. After sending Huamin away, Deputy Director Guo's expression was extremely unpleasant. Brother-in-law, I told you that this bitch isn't easy to deal with. It wasn't easy for us to get the Hua Foundation to help us, but we can't even get a single cent out of it. What the hell? Director Qi suddenly walked out of the office. Huamin isn't an easy person to deal with. He's very cunning, Deputy Director Guo said slowly with a dark expression on his face. Brother-in-law, this woman is blocking our path to wealth. She really doesn't know what's good for her. How about I get someone to teach her a lesson? Director Qi asked with shifty eyes. Chapter 539. That's ridiculous. Do you know who she is? How dare you touch her? Isn't she just an illegitimate daughter of the Hua Corporation? I heard that she doesn't have a good relationship with the Hua Xiqian. I don't know what's wrong with Hua Xiqian's head that made her the president of the foundation. Seriously. Not only is she the illegitimate daughter of the Hua Corporation, but she's also someone that Wu Zhongxing values. I believe that old man Wu Zhongxing wouldn't help someone for no reason. She must have some unknown background. What background? Is she Wu Zhongxing's mistress? Director Qi said with disdain. That's none of your business. Just don't act rashly, brother-in-law, you're being too careful. She's only in her 20s, what can she do? She must have found a sugar daddy to replace her VW with an Audi R8. Which nurse at Southside hasn't been with a rich man before? Otherwise, how could she drive a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW with her pathetic salary? That woman Hua Min looks like an upright person, but she's actually a gold digger. Otherwise, where would she get her sports car from? I heard that a while ago, when young Master Su was recuperating here, there were rumors about them. Su Yu. Deputy Director Guo was slightly surprised. Yeah, but I think Su Yu is tired of her now. After all, she's not a stunning beauty, and is just looking for something new. You don't know that men like women who can't be conquered. Hua Mion's arrogant look probably caught young Master Su's eye, but I didn't hear anything else. It's probably just a one-time thing. If you ask me, this woman, you should set a trap for her and get her into bed. Once she's in bed, she'll listen to everything you say. She'll listen to you. All you know is bed, bed, bed. You'd better behave yourself these days. Don't let anyone catch you. Don't mess around with those young nurses. You might die on a woman one day. Oh, I know, brother-in-law. Director Qi looked impatient. The two of them wanted to touch Hua Min's money, but they got nothing because Hua Min was an extremely stubborn woman. Minister Qi had once hinted to Hua Min that if he was willing to help them, he would give Hua Min a 30% commission. However, Hua Min had directly rejected him. Although Hua Xiqian wasn't a good person, since he asked her to manage the fund, she had to manage it well. After all, those were life-saving donations. After being scolded by Vice Dean Guo, Hua Min returned to his office to organize the materials. Head nurse, is it time for ward rounds? All right. Head nurse, a new patient was admitted to room 1 yesterday. He injured his ankle while playing basketball. It's not a big deal, but his family seems to be very rich. They've been stressing about giving him the best treatment plan. They even prepared 2 orthopedic specialists for 24 hours a day. There are people like that. Hua Min was a bit speechless. If his family is so rich that they can afford to hire specialists to treat him, why would he come to us for treatment? Hua Min didn't understand their logic at all. We thought it was strange too, but no one dared to ask. The patient doesn't seem to have a good temper. Bad temper? Don't tell me Su Yu is back again. Hua Min had a bad feeling. It's not young Master Su. When the nurse heard Hua Min's name, she blushed slightly and said shyly, "That's good." Hearing that it wasn't Su Yu, Hua Min was relieved. Hua Min led the 2 nurses to room 1 with Hua Min's medical record. Looking at the name on the medical record, she vaguely felt like it was familiar, but she couldn't remember where. Tang Chuan. I think I've heard this name before, Hua Min mumbled. Then, the nurse knocked on the door and pushed it open. When Hua Min saw the person, he immediately remembered that this person was Su Yu's friend. He always hung out with someone named Wei Liao. Hey, head nurse, you're just in time. My leg hurts, hurry up and take a look at it. At this moment, Tang Chuan was munching on an apple as he watched EXO's concert on TV. He seemed to be in a good mood and didn't look like his leg was hurting at all. Chapter 540. I think you're in better spirits than most people. You don't look like you have leg pain at all. Hua Min walked over and looked at Tang Chuan with a file in her hand. My spirit and my leg shouldn't conflict. I'm an optimist. Even if my leg is broken, I'll eat and drink as I should. Hua Min ignored the talkative man and looked down at his medical record. She sprained her ankle while playing basketball. This was actually a very small matter. She went to find a Chinese massage practitioner and she would be fine after resting for a period of time. Why did he have to come to Southside in such a big way? Was he here to burn money? Hua Min closed the file and looked at Tang Chuan with her black-rimmed glasses. I've looked at your medical record. You don't need to come to Southside for treatment. You can just rest at home. Are you sure you want to occupy a bed here? What are you talking about? I have money and I'm happy to stay here. What's wrong with occupying a bed? I'll come to Southside for treatment even if I have a small cold, let alone an ankle injury. I have money and I can do whatever I want. Tang Chuan had heard Wei Liao say a long time ago that Huamin was a very strange woman. So, he wanted to take the opportunity to exchange a few moves with her and see what she was capable of to make Su Yu so infatuated with her. Huamin didn't get angry when she heard what he said. Instead, she came back to her senses and ordered, "Get ready to draw blood from the patient in room 1. I suspect that his foot has various inflammatory lesions. Be careful. Draw 6 tubes and do a detailed examination." "Yes, head nurse." "Hey, wait a minute. Why do we need to draw blood? And so much blood?" Tang Chuan's expression immediately changed. He put down the apple in his hand and was no longer in the mood to eat. "This is Southside's policy. For the sake of the patient, we have to give you a comprehensive examination. This is responsible for your health. Huamin, you're abusing your position to get revenge. I want to file a complaint against you." "You are welcome to complain." Then, Huamin said to another nurse, "The patient in room 1 is emotionally unstable. I suspect that he has symptoms of mania. Go to the psychiatry department and get a doctor to come over and do a mental evaluation on him. If there is no problem, he can continue to stay in the orthopedics department. If there is a problem with the psychiatry department, then ask him to transfer to another department." With that, Huamin gracefully turned around. In just a few minutes of confrontation, Tang Chuan thought that Huamin would be rendered speechless by his words, but who knew, oh heavens, oh earth, he had really been tricked by Wei Liao this time. Wei Liao said that if he deliberately sprained his ankle and stayed here for a few days, Su Yu would come to visit him and take the opportunity to create more opportunities for the two of them to meet. But this opportunity to meet was above all his pain and suffering are. Not only did he have to do a blood test, but he also had to do a mental evaluation. Oh my God! He immediately took out his phone and yelled at the group chat with only 3 people. "I want to be discharged from the hospital immediately. Huamin, that woman, is too fucking scary." After Wei Liao heard this, he laughed maniacally. "For Lord Su's love career, you sacrificed your life heroically. We will always remember you, hero. Don't talk nonsense with me. Why don't you come and stay for a few days? I've been tricked by you this time." Tang Chuan thought that no matter how powerful Huamin was, she was just a woman. How good could she be? If he was tortured like this today, how could he live in the future? Seeing that Su Yu didn't respond, Tang Chuan yelled again, "Lord Su, can you please go after another woman? This girl is really not suitable for you. If you marry her, you will be tortured to death." 3 seconds later, Su Yu replied. It was a text message with only 3 words, "I do." Tang Chuan was completely speechless. He couldn't back down now. At night, Huamin was embarrassed because she had been on leave for a few days, so she volunteered to work night shifts for a week. She gave a few of her assistant nurses the same day off. She was sitting at the on-call desk when she suddenly saw a cup of hot milk tea placed in front of her. She looked up and saw the man in front of her with phoenix eyes, a feminine face, and a devilish smile. "Head nurse, your milk tea." Su Yu smiled. Chapter 541. Why are you here? Huamin wasn't surprised to see Su Yu. After Tang Chuan was hospitalized, Huamin was no longer surprised. She knew that Su Yu would definitely come. "My buddy is hospitalized in your department." "I know, Tang Chuan, right?" Huamin took a sip of the milk tea. "Yeah, that's him. With his condition, he doesn't need to be hospitalized. Was it your idea to come here?" Huamin asked straightforwardly. "Would you believe me if I said it wasn't my idea?" Su Yu looked at Huamin seriously. The truth was, it really wasn't his idea this time. With his temper, if he wanted to see Huamin, he would have sprained his ankle himself. Tang Chuan came because he accidentally hurt his ankle when he was playing basketball with Wei Liao. Tang Chuan wanted a traditional Chinese massage. However, Wei Liao had an idea. He said that he might as well go with the flow and stay at South Side. It would give Lord Su a chance to see Huamin. Just like that, Lord Su came to South Side by accident and committed a lot of crimes. Huamin didn't answer him. She didn't want to discuss anything with Su Yu so seriously, therefore, she deliberately changed the topic. The milk tea tastes good, it's very pure. If you like it, I'll buy it for you every day. Su Yu stared at her face. Huamin actually didn't dare to look into Su Yu's eyes, because when Su Yu became serious, she really didn't know what to say. That day on Gamble God, she broke his heart and didn't even give him a chance to dance with her. She thought that he would give up, but who knew that he didn't care about the past and continued to be nice to her. This troubled Huamin and put her in a difficult position. Su Yu, you don't have to do this. Between us, I know what kind of relationship we have. Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you. It's my business that I'm good to you. It's your business if you don't accept it. There won't be any conflict. But, Su Yu, you have to know that I'm already married, Huamin reminded Su Yu again as she held the hot milk tea in her hands. I know. Su Yu smiled bitterly. So, you know that some things are. Huamin, you don't have to remind me again and again. I know my place, and I know how you feel about me. Right now, I just want to be good to you. I don't want anything from you, and I don't want anything from you. I'm a free-spirited person, and everything I like depends on my mood. If I'm happy, then I'll be happy when I buy you milk tea. That's my mood, and I cherish this mood because no one has made me this happy in over 20 years, so just think of it as me entertaining myself. Su Yu was actually a man with a high IQ and EQ. His childish behavior before was because he had never met someone he liked as much as he did, so he didn't know what to do. Now that he slowly got to know Su Yu, he realized that he understood everything, including his feelings for Huamin and Huamin's attitude toward him. Therefore, Su Yu's words left Huamin speechless. For the first time, Huamin actually lost in a war of words between the two of them. You can reject someone who loves you, but you can't trample on someone's sincere heart. She had already made things very clear to Su Yu, but the fact that Su Yu could still say something like this showed that he knew better than she did. Why do you have to? Huamin turned his head away, not daring to look into Su Yu's eyes. He felt a little sad. I think I might have owed you in my past life. Su Yu's lips curled up slightly as his tall figure stood in front of the on-call desk. Just then, Huamin's phone rang. It was a video call invitation from Qin Chu. Huamin looked at Su Yu guiltily. Chapter 542. Su Yu immediately understood. Then, he turned around in disappointment. Huamin picked up the video call and saw that Qin Chu was still at work. Behind him was the office. Honey, are you hungry? I'm not hungry. I just ordered supper for you. It'll be here in about half an hour. Remember to eat it, Qin Chu gently reminded her. I've gained a lot of weight lately and you're still feeding me. Are you trying to turn me into a pig? I'm not worried about you gaining weight, I'm worried about you losing weight. Just then, Qin Chu saw a cup of milk tea on Huamin's desk. It was from a luxurious restaurant in the city. With Huamin's personality, she probably wouldn't buy something so expensive, even if she was rich. However, Qin Chu didn't ask directly. Instead, he asked, Did you Lingling visit you at the hospital? No, she's been flying these days. Oh, what's wrong? Nothing, you need to take care of yourself. I'll pick you up for breakfast tomorrow morning. Okay, you too. Don't tire yourself out. Huamin smiled happily and hung up. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu's eyes darkened. That person didn't seem to have given up after losing to him. Assistant Yang. Sir, what can I do for you? Assistant Yang immediately ran in. Does Imperial Star only invest in film and television? Is there anything else? No, as far as I know, Imperial Star is a giant in the film and television industry. They're very good at creating stars. Every year, they produce more than a dozen movies and more than 100 TV series. They're very powerful. Also, the president of Imperial Star, Su Yu, has a powerful background. You've probably heard of the Su Corporation's private bank, right? I have. Chin Chu nodded. That bank is the Su family's private property. They have assets all over the country, so you can say that the Su Corporation is Imperial Star's backing. As long as they have money, they can do the best in any industry. I'm sure you know that. Yes. Sir, are you planning to invest in film and television for GK as well? Yong suddenly realized something and asked. We can't rule out this possibility, Chin Chu said vaguely, as if he wasn't sure. He had thousands of ways to make money, so there was no need for him to invest in film and television. However, if Su Yu continued to pester Huamin without knowing what was good for him, in that case, he had to think of a way to deal with him. After all, Su Yu was too idle, which was not good. Inside room 1, Wei Liao and Chin Chu were drinking red wine on the sofa, while Tang Chuan was drinking water alone on the hospital bed. With a face full of grievance, she said, "Hey, when can I be discharged? You can stay here for now. The two of us can still visit you every day. There are so many young nurses coming in and out every day. You're so lucky. Lucky my ass. Why don't you come back for a few days?" Tang Chuan said in a huff. "I just saw Huamin." "Did you give him the milk tea?" Wei Liao ignored Tang Chuan's protest and asked Chin Chu. "Yes. Women are all like this. You have to move her bit by bit and change her. That's the only way you have a chance." Su Yu didn't say anything as he fiddled with his phone. No one could tell what he was thinking. Ever since he came back from the Gamble God, he seemed to have calmed down a lot and wasn't as arrogant as before. At least, that was the case when it came to targeting Huamin. However, no one knew that he had fallen deeper. He was envious of Huamin's desire to protect Chin Chu. If only there was a woman who was loyal to him, not because of money, not because of his looks, not because of his status. Then, he would have no regrets in his life. He regretted it now. Why did he join the army in the first place? If he had gone to second high, maybe, the legend of Chin Chu and Huamin wouldn't have existed. 1 a.m. Huamin was so sleepy that he fell asleep at the on-call desk. Su Yu slowly walked over, and a young nurse was about to say something. Su Yu made a shushing gesture, and she immediately shut her mouth. Then, the young nurse saw Su Yu do something unspeakable to Huamin. Chapter 543. He picked up a black ballpoint pen from the pen holder and carefully drew on Huamin's face. He drew 3 lines on each side, giving Huamin a cute pair of big mustaches. The nurse couldn't help but want to laugh, but she didn't dare to, so she covered her mouth tightly. After he finished, Su Yu still wasn't satisfied, so he added a finishing touch and drew a king on Huamin's forehead. He looked like a cute little tiger with blood all over his face. This time, Su Yu was very satisfied. He carefully took out his phone and turned it to silent mode. Then, with a click, he took a photo of Huamin. Not counting the photo at the charity event, this was the second photo of Huamin alone. He believed that even Chin Chu didn't have a collector's edition of this photo. After the prank, Su Yu took out 1,000 yuan and threw it to the nurse. He didn't know if it was hush money or money for helping the tyrant. Then, he drove away in his black Lamborghini. He didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache when he lost Louis XIV on the Gamble God ship. Today, because of a photo, he was as happy as a child. Su Yu suddenly realized that Huamin had become an indispensable part of his life. Look at this. He took out his phone and handed it to Wei Liao, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. Fut, ha ha ha, so cute, did you do this? Yap. Su Yu nodded proudly. When she wakes up, she'll be mad, right? Will she come after you? I hope she does. That way, I'll have another chance to see her. Su Yu was in a good mood. At this time, Wei Liao suddenly said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my hand slipped and I deleted it." With a screech, Su Yu stepped on the brakes and stopped the car by the side of the road. Then, without another word, he grabbed Wei Liao's neck. Ha ha ha. I'm just kidding. Don't pinch me, it hurts. Wei Liao wasn't afraid of death. He actually dared to joke around with Su Yu. God knows how much Su Yu treasured Huamin's photos. I heard that Huamin had a nickname when she was in school. She was called Goddess Hua. So what? Suyu asked. This is my understanding of a goddess. Originally, there was no goddess in this world. There were many people who wanted to sleep with her, so she became a goddess. Suyu, so, in the end, you just want to sleep with Huamin, right? Of course I want to sleep with her, but I have to make sure that she can fall in love with me. What if Huamin doesn't love you for the rest of her life? Wei Liao poured a bucket of cold water on Suyu. That's impossible. I'm so handsome and suave. Suyu couldn't continue as he spoke. Then I'll wait for her to fall in love with me. As long as I'm alive, there's always hope, right? Wei Liao rarely saw Suyu so pessimistic. It seemed like Huamin had become an obsession in his heart. Hey, don't make it sound so sad. I think there's still hope for you. I'll wait for the day Huamin and Qinchu get divorced. I'll wait for the day Huamin cheats on you, or the day she marries you after getting divorced, haha. Wei Liao smiled and comforted Suyu. Then, the two of them drove away. Huamin might have been too tired yesterday because she didn't sleep well at Dong Daozhen's motel, so she fell asleep during her shift. After sleeping for about an hour, she suddenly got up. What's wrong, nurse? What's wrong? Did I oversleep? No, you slept for less than an hour. I saw that you were too tired, so I didn't wake you up, the nurse said quietly. Huamin got up and was about to leave, but the nurse stopped her. Nurse, I think you should wash your face first. What's wrong with my face? Huamin was confused. The nurse didn't say anything. She held up a small mirror in front of Huamin, and when she looked at herself, she was dumbfounded. Chapter 544. What happened? Huamin was dumbfounded. She only slept for one night. How did she end up like this? Head nurse, I'm sorry, I don't dare to tell you, I'm scared. Looking at the nurse's hesitant expression, Huamian knew who did it even with her eyes closed. Suyu, just you wait. Huamin immediately rushed into the bathroom and washed her face. When she came out, it was almost dawn. She was still thinking about where to have breakfast with Qinchu. However, an uninvited guest showed up. A black Porsche 918 was parked in front of the hospital. Huasii, who she hadn't seen in a while, came at 4 a.m. in the morning. He was wearing a black jacket, his hair was cut short, and his skin was much darker. It seemed like Huasiqian's transfer order made him suffer a lot in the Philippines. Huamin, he said coldly. What do you want? Huamin always spoke in a formal tone. I'm here on father's orders to take you back. So early? Dad had a relapse last night, so he tossed and turned for half the night. I called you, but you didn't pick up, so I had no choice but to come find you. Huamin did see the Hua family call last night, but she didn't pick up. Huasii knew that nothing good would come from looking for her in the middle of the night. It turned out that Hua Zhenghai had a relapse. Is it serious? Which hospital is he at? He's not at the hospital, he's resting at home. He misses you a lot. You should be off work soon, right? Can you come home with me? Huamin looked into Huasii's eyes. He didn't look sly at all, so it probably wasn't a trap. Plus, Shinjiani needed her help right now, so she probably wouldn't do anything to her. After making sure that she wasn't in danger, Huamin packed her things and followed Huasii to the Hua mansion. It was already 6 a.m. when they arrived at the Hua mansion, and breakfast had just begun. Everyone was sitting around, but Hua Yangyang was nowhere to be seen. Where's Yangyang? Hua Zhenghai asked. Oh, the child hasn't woken up yet. She rarely wakes up so early. Let her sleep a little longer. Shinjiani smiled. Did you not wake up, or did you not come back last night? Huasiqian played with a boiled egg on the table. Shinjiani's expression changed slightly. Recently, Hua Yangyang had been leaving early and returning late. Most of the time, she didn't even come home. Instead, she hung out with a bunch of bad friends. No matter how many times Shinjiani said that she was hungry, she refused to listen. She couldn't care less. Mion, how's work been? Hua Zhenghai asked, seemingly concerned. She changed the topic about Hua Yangyang. I'm fine. I've always been like that, Huamin replied indifferently. You've always been in charge of your brother's fund, right? Hua Zhenghai asked again. Yes, I've always been in charge of it. Huamin nodded. I've looked at the fund's accounts, there's no problem at all. You've done a great job. With you taking care of your brother's fund, he doesn't have to worry so much. Hua Zhenghai rarely praised Huamin. However, she didn't look happy at all. It's what I should do. Huamin's tone was indifferent. Jiang Hong smiled and put down the milk in her hand. Xiqian's fund is very successful. All the major media outlets have reported on it, and many city leaders are paying attention to it. The provincial government even exempted the Hua Corporation from paying taxes for a year. All in all, we've profited. I told you that Xiqian is the best at saving money for his father. Chapter 545. Mom. I just want to help share some of Dad's workload. Hua Xiqian and Jiang Hong sang the same tune. They were a great team. Hua Zhenghai could only nod. Xiqian has always done things with a sense of propriety. Now that Mion is back, I have another helper. You siblings must work together from now on. Ci, you should learn from Sister Mion. Dad, what can I learn from her? She's not as educated as I am, and her salary isn't as high as mine. She's only a nurse, so what can you learn from her? I'm so confused. Hua Ci and Hua Yangyang looked down on Huamin from the bottom of their hearts. They were born with a sense of superiority because of the huge gap between them. Huamin didn't want to argue with him, because Hua Ci was a brainless guy. Arguing with him was like arguing with a dog, it was completely meaningless. However, Hua Xiqian didn't seem to tolerate his words, so he questioned, Ci, even if that's the case, Mion has been busy ever since she took over the Golden Foundation, and she hasn't made a single mistake. On the other hand, the project you were in charge of in the Philippines wasn't even half of the Golden Foundation's funds, but you made a mess there. You didn't make friends with the local government, and you even offended a lot of local triads. We're businessmen, and we don't care about education or profession. We care about profit and ability, and that's exactly what you lack. Dad has his reasons for asking you to learn from Mion. Is it really okay for you to argue like that? Hua Xiqian had been arguing with Hua Ci ever since he came back, so he was very angry. Xinjiani saw this and immediately stopped her son. Ci, your older brother is right. You're the youngest in the family, so you have to learn from your brothers and sisters. Yes, I know, Mom. Although Hua Ci was unhappy, he didn't dare to talk back to his mother. His breakfast was tasteless. Huamin knew that these people were all wearing masks, and when they took off their masks, they revealed different faces. Huamin didn't look like he had anything to do with Hua Zhenghai. He only asked Huamin to come back for Jiang Hong and the others to see. It was as if Jiang Hong and Hua Xiqian were using Huamin as a shield to deal with Huamin. That way, they wouldn't have time to deal with Hua Yangyang and Hua Ci. This was Hua Zhenghai and Xinjiani's goal. Before she left, Hua Zhenghai pretended to take out a brocade box. Mion, I heard that you just celebrated your 24th birthday. Daddy bought this for you. No need. My birthday is over. Huamin refused to accept the gift. Hua Zhenghai opened the brocade box. Inside was a pearl necklace. The quality was decent, but it wasn't too expensive. At most, it was 10 or 20,000 yuan. This was nothing compared to Hua Xiqian and Su Yu's, much less Qin Chu's 400 million yuan mansion. Mion, Daddy gave this to you. Take it. Hua Xiqian handed the brocade box to Huamin as he spoke. He meant that it would be a waste if he didn't take it. Huamin was conflicted, but he still took it. After all, if he kept rejecting it, it would seem too distant, and it would be difficult for him to carry out his revenge plan in the future. Ci, drive your sister home. Me? Hua Ci didn't seem very satisfied. No need, I'll take a taxi. Hua Ci didn't want to reveal too much of her wealth, so she didn't drive an Audi sports car. Ci, what are you waiting for? Daddy asked you to drive her, so just go. She's your sister. Xinjiani purposely emphasized the word sister. Hua Xiai reluctantly followed Hua Min out the door, in the study room on the top floor of the Hua Manor. "Zhenghai, did you tell her about GK helping us?" Shun Jiani asked impatiently as soon as Hua Min left. Chapter 546. Not yet, she's too smart. I don't want to alert her, so I'm going to talk to her first. Once I gain her trust, it won't be too late to bring it up. Since Qin Chu married her, it means that he cares about her a lot. With her as his trump card, he won't have to be afraid of Hua Xiqian. Using Hua Min to use GK to deal with Hua Xiqian was Hua Zhenghai's latest plan. In the car, Hua Min originally wanted Hua Xiai to drive her to the downtown mall so she could buy some daily necessities. However, on the way there, she suddenly saw a familiar figure. "Stop the car!" Hua Min suddenly yelled. "Oh! Isn't that your half-brother, Jing Zhixin?" Hua Xiai mocked. Zhixin just sent Hua Min a WeChat message yesterday saying that he had class today, so why was he in the city center? The car slowly stopped on the side of the road. Before Hua Min could get out of the car, she saw a girl walking towards Zhixin. She was wearing a cute dress, her hair was slightly curly, and she looked very sweet and cute. Wasn't that Huang Yu? Hua Min's expression became complicated. As expected, she was right. Hua Xiai seemed to have noticed as well. He narrowed his eyes and said, "I didn't expect that kid to be so good at picking up girls. That girl looks a bit like Takizawa Laura." "Hua Xiai, you're so disgusting." He was young, but his mouth was full of dirty words. Hua Min thought that the son that Shinjiani spent a lot of money on was useless. He had no manners at all. "How am I disgusting? I'm not as disgusting as Jing Zhixin. He's just a student. Instead of going to school, he's trying to pick up girls. What right does he have? Does he earn money? He's using your allowance to pretend to be a rich guy and pick up girls, right? Shut the hell up." "Why should I shut up? I'm going to say it. Poor people like you are the worst. My mom said that you're all scheming bitches. You came back to help because you want my dad's money. Otherwise, are you trying to imitate Lei Yifeng? Also, I'm telling you, I've never liked that brat Jing Zhixin. Tell him to keep an eye on that woman. Otherwise, if she ends up in my bed one day, don't blame me for not giving you face. But you better not interfere. After all, I'm your little brother, haha. Hua Xiai, if you dare to steal the person Zhixin likes, I won't let you get away with it." Hua Min warned him coldly, "Haha. That's why you have to make sure that silly boy keeps a close eye on you. Also, you have such a silly little brother. You really have enough to worry about, don't you?" Hua Min got out of the car with a dark expression and slammed the door shut. Hua Xiai pressed the horn twice in a provocative manner before leaving. Because of the special relationship between Hua Min and the Hua family, they had met when they were very young. Hua Xiai wasn't much older than Jing Zhixin, so he was always picking on him. It was just like how Hua Yangyang always looked down on Hua Min. When they were little, she always tried to steal Zhixin's toys and even got people to surround him. However, after being taught a lesson by Hua Min, Hua Xiai changed a lot. However, Hua Xiai still looked down on Jing Zhixin, who was born poor. Jing Zhixin and Huang Yu were supposed to watch a movie, go shopping, and eat together today. However, they didn't expect to run into his sister as soon as they met. "Sis, why are you here?" Jing Zhixin was caught off guard. Huang Yu was also scared out of her wits. She quickly backed away. "Senior sister, you too, come with me." Hua Min's expression was serious as he brought them to a nearby coffee shop. "Sis. I'm sorry." Inside the coffee shop, before Hua Min could say anything, Jing Zhixin apologized first. Chapter 548. Hey, what are you doing? You wouldn't give it to me even if I asked you for it, so I might as well take it from you, Su Yu said as he chewed. He didn't look like a rich young master at all. "Su Yu, did you draw a cat on my face yesterday?" No. That's impossible." Huimin obviously didn't believe him. I clearly drew a tiger on your face, okay? Didn't you see the king character on your forehead? Suyu argued. Huimin, she originally thought that Suyu was going to deny the fact that he drew on her face, but it seemed like she was overthinking it. He was correcting her that he drew a tiger on her face, not a cat. Suyu, you sure have a lot of free time. Doesn't Imperial Star have any movies to shoot? Huimin asked in annoyance. Yeah, but I don't care about that. I only have a vice president, and he takes care of everything for me. It's called efficiency. Phut. I think you're just messing around. We're going to order. What do you want to eat? I'll bring you some. It's okay, I'm full. Then, Huimin got up and handed the rest of the sushi to Suyu. I made too much today, you can have the rest. Suyu was a bit flattered, however, he didn't dare to take the sushi. Instead, he asked confusedly, why are you being so nice? It's fine if you don't want it, I'll just throw it in the trash can. Then, Huimin pretended to take it away. No, I want it. Suyu snatched it over and happily took the sushi back to his room. Huimin smiled triumphantly. Let's wait for a good show. After Suyu took the sushi back to his room, Suyu, you guys go ahead and order, you don't have to bring mine. Wei Liao, what's going on? Where did the sushi come from? Tang Chuan, he probably stole it from Huimin. Otherwise, why would he be so happy? Suyu, she didn't snatch it. Let me correct you. She gave it to me. Wei Liao, give. She didn't believe it. Could it be her leftovers? Suyu, don't say that the grapes are sour just because you can't eat them. There was a whole box, and the only one missing was eaten by me just now. How could it be leftovers? She must have given it to me. Wei Liao, that's weird. Is there arsenic in the sushi? Tang Chuan, great minds think alike. Suyu, arsenic aside, as long as it's from her, I'll take it even if it's an aphrodisiac. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan were overjoyed. It looked like Lord Su was possessed. Then, the two of them ordered a sumptuous meal at Feng Yu restaurant. Suyu, on the other hand, curled up on the sofa and took small bites of the original sushi. Half an hour later, no, I have to go to the bathroom. After saying that, Suyu got up and ran away. He's already gone to the bathroom 6 times in 10 minutes. Sushi really isn't that good. Luckily, I held back. Wei Liao sighed. Tang Chuan laughed and said, I told you that woman wasn't that kind. See? Just as Suyu was about to go to the bathroom for the 7th time, Tang Chuan stopped him. I say, did you do something wrong to her? As far as I know, although Huimin is powerful, there's no reason for him to kill you. Suyu was silent. Wei Liao laughed and said, does drawing a tiger count? What tiger? Did I miss something? Tang Chuan looked confused. So, Wei Liao told him about how Suyu drew a tiger for her last night. Tang Chuan saw the photo and laughed out loud. The two of them couldn't stop laughing while Suyu ran to the bathroom. He didn't expect Huimin to put laxatives in the sushi. Just then, Huimin pushed open the door. Tang Chuan immediately stopped laughing and said, hello, head nurse. In the past few days, he had figured out Huimin's personality and decided not to go against her. This is the antidote, give it to him, Huimin said slowly as she threw a small bag to Wei Liao. Then, help me pass a message to him. What message? Wei Liao asked excitedly. Chapter 549. Next time, don't offend women for no reason, especially women who know how to concoct poisons. After that, Huimin walked away coolly. Tang Chuan, phut. Is that a threat? Wei Liao, forget it. What she meant was that if she gave you laxatives this time, who knows what kind of poison she'll put in you next time? When Suyu ran back from the bathroom, Wei Liao put the antidote on the ground and gave him Huimin's original words. Suyu remained silent. Lord Su, what's that saying again? A woman's heart is the most poisonous. Think about martial arts universities and Pan Jinlian. Tang Chuan gloated. Fuck you, do you know how to talk? Suyu scolded. Wei Liao glared at Tang Chuan. That's right, You don't know how to talk. Our Lord Su is so tall, strong, rich, and handsome. How can he be from a martial arts university? At most, his Westgate big official. Su Yu, come here, you two. I'll take good care of you. Su Yu beckoned with his finger, scaring Wei Liao into hiding on Tang Chuan's bed. Don't, Lord Su. If you're angry, don't take it out on us. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. If you want to take it out on someone, take it out on Huamin. Tang Chuan giggled. Su Yu clutched the bag of antidote tightly. He was both angry and amused. Don't worry, she won't run away. That brat dared to trick me. I won't let her go. After teaching Su Yu a lesson, he finally got his revenge. He unintentionally opened Weibo, which he had not logged in for a long time, and received a private message. The first one was a photo of her being drawn as a tiger. It was as embarrassing as it could get. There was also a message from Su Yu. Recently, we have a Bengal tiger at home. It looks good, but it has a fiery temper and is very fierce. Please advise me on how to tame it. Su Yu was clearly provoking him, holding her photo and asking her how to tame her. There was no SEI left. Huamin thought for a few seconds and finally replied, how was the sushi tonight? When Su Yu thought of sushi, he immediately ran to the toilet again. It had already become a conditioned reflex. Huamin was too lazy to talk nonsense with Su Yu. He logged out of Weibo and logged into WeChat. She saw that Jixin and Huang Yu had posted a photo together, and there were only 2 words, us. Then, there was a group photo below. It looked like both of them were smiling sweetly. Wasn't this method of announcing their relationship imitating the 2 A-list celebrities who announced their relationship last year? This method was really unsophisticated. Fortunately, Huamin reluctantly agreed to their relationship. It couldn't be said reluctantly, it could only be said that he tried to persuade them to no avail. Therefore, there was no other way. Huang Yu and Jing Jixin no longer hid their relationship because their sister knew the truth. They decided to openly date. Zhu Lingling was in Jing Jixin's WeChat, so when Zhu Lingling got off the plane, she saw it immediately. She immediately sent a WeChat message to Huamin. Jixin is in love. Yeah. Damn, are you giving us a way out? He's born in 1995, okay? He's not even 20, what's the rush? Zhu Lingling clamored. Does age have anything to do with this day and age? Didn't you see the joke a while ago? What joke? Zhu Lingling was confused. At the entrance of kindergarten, a little boy said to a little girl, I have a lollipop, do you want a bite? The little girl said, I don't want it, I'm afraid of getting pregnant. The little boy said, if I get pregnant, I'll give birth to it. At worst, the 3 of us can go to kindergarten together. Ha 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 ha. I'm dying of laughter. Zhu Lingling laughed hysterically. Huamin, on the other hand, said with a serious face, that's the most responsible thing I've ever heard. Even children know what love is, yet you, an adult, are still hesitating. I see that you treat Gao Ran pretty well, why don't you two make do? Chapter 550. What makes you think I'm nice to him? Seriously. Zhu Lingling refused to admit it. Lingling, what's wrong? How should I put it? Jokes aside, as your best friend, I have a piece of advice for you, Huamin said seriously. What is it? Zhu Lingling immediately replied. Huamian continued, in a person's life, not everyone can meet someone they both like and love at the same time. If you meet someone like that and hesitate for some reason and end up missing him, that would be such a pity. If you accept this relationship calmly, even if you don't end up together in the future, you won't regret it because you've already experienced it. When a person grows old, the scariest thing isn't that I once regretted being with someone, but rather, why didn't I try being with someone? Huamin. Zhu Lingling suddenly didn't know what to say when she saw how serious Huamin was. Lingling, I'm not trying to persuade you to be with Gao Ran. I just want to say that if you like him and he likes you, why don't you give it a try? Life is neither long nor short. Some people and some things, once you miss them, you'll be with them forever. Do you still remember Liu Ruoying's song Later when we were in high school? Do you still remember my favorite line from that song? Zhu Lingling was slightly moved. Her voice trembled as she replied, later, I finally learned how to love. Unfortunately, you were long gone and disappeared into the sea of people. Later, in my tears, I finally understood that some people will never be there again once they're missed. So I won't interfere too much in your life. I just don't want you to have any regrets when you grow old. I know. Okay, let's talk later. I'm going to pack up and get off work. I'm sleepy. Drive carefully. Okay. Huamin hung up the phone and stood up tiredly. He took off his white coat and put on his windbreaker. Then, he grabbed his bag and walked out of the hospital. As soon as he walked out, he was shocked by the parking lot outside. The parking space, which was originally quite good, was now surrounded by a lot of random cars. Moreover, they didn't follow the rules and blocked Huamin's car. Even an immortal wouldn't be able to get out of here. Unless the car had wings, it was possible for it to fly out. Huamin angrily walked to the front of the supercar behind his car. It was a fiery red Ferrari. Huamin didn't know much about luxury cars, so he didn't know which model it was. She only saw that this Ferrari was seriously blocking her way of reversing. However, she suddenly noticed that there was a small card at the back of the car with the owner's phone number written on it. It seemed that the car owner still had some conscience and even knew to leave his phone number. Huamin angrily picked up his phone and dialed the number. Hello, your car is blocking my car. I need to reverse quickly. Please come out and cooperate with me. No one spoke on the other end of the line. After Huamin finished speaking, he hung up the phone. 5 minutes later a tall and thin man walked out. He was wearing a mask and looked haggard. You called? The man asked coldly. Yes. Huamin nodded. I'll move the car out of the way. You can reverse. Thank you. Huamin then got into the car. Just as she was reversing the car, she turned around and got a shock. A group of young ladies came out of nowhere and surrounded him in no time. Screams sounded everywhere. Huamin finally realized that the person just now was the most popular male idol singer, Yang. Seeing that the other party was surrounded by fans because he was reversing the car, Huamin felt a little bad. She thought for a moment, then picked up her phone and dialed the number from before. Hello? The person picked up the phone. His voice was still as cold as ever. I have a way to get you out. Do you need it? Huamin asked. Chapter 551. Go ahead. I'm going to reverse the car. Immediately get out of the car and get into my car. Your car is in a bad spot, so you won't be able to get out. Of course, that's if you trust me. The person on the other end was silent for 5 seconds before replying with a single word. Okay. Huamin stepped on the accelerator, and the car roared to life. The crazy fans were so scared that they quickly backed away. Huamin turned the steering wheel again and reversed the car, approaching the red Ferrari. At the closest distance, she slowly stopped the car. The owner of the car quickly got out of the car and got into her car. The entire process took less than 10 seconds. It was so fast that no one had time to react. By the time the fans realized what was going on and chased after them, Huamin stepped on the gas and the car was already out of sight. After driving for about 10 minutes, Yang turned around. After confirming that there were no fans or reporters, he finally let out a sigh of relief. Thank you. You're welcome. You only got surrounded because you got out of the car to give up your seat for me, Huamin said calmly. Yang glanced at her and didn't say anything. Then, he took off his mask, revealing his haggard face. Huamin wasn't a fan of celebrities, but she recognized Yang. After all, he was such a famous celebrity. Apparently, he debuted 5 years ago. After his debut, he released 3 albums in one go. In this era where albums were dying, it was a miracle that he could sell more than 1 million copies in 3 days. Moreover, his solo concerts were only held once a year, so they were extremely precious. Therefore, the ticket prices were inflated to over 10,000 yuan per concert. The price was ridiculous and left people speechless. There were many rumors about him. Some said that he was supported by a rich woman, which was why he became so popular. Some said that he was the illegitimate son of a rich man, which was why he had financial support. Some even said that he was gay and that a famous director in the gay industry took a liking to him, which was why he became a first-rate superstar. In short, no matter what, this person was famous, completely famous. Apparently, he was about to leave his old company, Imagination Corporation. Rumor had it that Imperial Star offered 120 million yuan to sign him. However, no one knew who exactly he was going to. He was a very strange person. It was said that he did not like interviews or reality shows. He was always so mysterious. Therefore, more and more people liked him, and more people were curious about him. There were even some crazy fans who often waited at the entrance of his company or his residence, chasing after him. However, his agent had always been good at keeping secrets, therefore, there had been no trouble so far. As an employee of Southside, Min had no idea that he had come to Southside. "Where are you going?" "I'll drive you there," Min asked. "Southside Recuperation Center." He was a man of few words. "Ah. Do you still want to go back?" "Yes." Seeing how insistent he was, Min had no choice but to drive the car back to where it belonged. Min let out a sigh of relief when he saw that the fans were nowhere to be seen. "Thank you," he said lightly before getting out of the car. Then, he got out of the car and left. A woman at the door looked around in a panic. When she saw Ni Yang, she immediately walked forward. "Sister Ingzi. Oh my God. Where did you go?" "I was surrounded by fans outside the door. Luckily, someone saved me." "Oh my God, are you okay? Let me take a look." The woman was shocked. "I'm fine, I'm not hurt. I went out to buy breakfast, but you ruined it. Didn't I tell you not to go downstairs?" "I remember, it won't happen again." If he didn't receive that phone call, he wouldn't have rushed downstairs. However, when he parked his car, he knew that he was blocking someone's way. Otherwise, why would he leave his phone number? When Sister Ingzi found out that he left a note, she was furious. "Don't do that again. You're an idol, how can you leave your phone number like a normal person? What if your identity is exposed? And that woman, what if she finds out about your phone number and calls you every day?" "Sister Ingzi, don't think so badly of people." Ni Yang didn't seem to agree with his agent. Chapter 552. Oh my God. You've been in the entertainment industry for so many years, haven't you seen through the darkness? Do you need me to remind you? You can't let your guard down. Your trip to Southside is a top secret. If it's exposed, your path to stardom won't be easy. I know. After Min drove Ni Yang home, it was already 9:30 a.m. Qin Chu was busy at the company during the day, so he didn't come home. After not seeing Mr. Qin for 2 days, he missed him a lot. He picked up his phone and was about to make a call when Qin Chu called him back. It was a video call. Min picked up the phone and smiled sweetly. "Hello, Mr. Qin. Are you off work?" "Yeah, I just got back." "Why are you so late today?" "Yeah. I had to deal with some stuff at work." "Look, you have dark circles under your eyes. After this night shift, you don't have to work anymore," Qin Chu said worriedly. "Yeah, after this night shift, you'll be working the day shift next month. Have you eaten? Are you asking about breakfast or lunch?" Qin Chu smiled. "Breakfast, of course. It's only 9 a.m., I've eaten. Are you coming back today? You're still working the night shift. I'll be bored if I go back, so I'll stay at the company to deal with work." "Okay then. Get some rest." After chatting with Qin Chu for a while, Min felt extremely sleepy. He curled up on the sofa and fell asleep. He didn't know how long he slept, but he was suddenly woken up by his phone. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was the same number from this morning. "Hello, I left my wallet in your car. I need some ID in it. Can you bring it to me?" "Wait a second, I'll go downstairs and check." Min ran downstairs with his phone. When he opened the door of his car, he saw that there was indeed a Gucci wallet on the passenger seat. It was coffee-colored and looked very exquisite. "I do have one, where should I take it?" Southside Recuperation Center. Sanatorium again. It's pretty far. Why don't I bring it to you when I go to work tonight? Send it over now. I won't let you come here for nothing. The other party's tone was cold. That's not what I meant. Huamin wanted to explain that she wasn't doing it for benefits, but Huamin didn't give her a chance to speak. Then, he hung up. Huamin sighed helplessly. She picked up her wallet and rummaged through it. There were bank cards, ID cards, and quite a lot of RMB. There was about 20,000 renminbi. Huamin wrapped the wallet in a paper bag, went upstairs to pack, and drove back to Southside. It was 2 p.m. when they arrived at Southside. Huamin's night shift didn't start until 6 p.m. Therefore, everyone was quite surprised that he came so early. Head nurse, why are you so early today? Okay. Huamin nodded. Then, he returned to his office, took out his phone, and dialed that number again. He didn't expect that the other party's line would be busy, so he sent a message, head nurse of the orthopedics department, come get your wallet. 15 minutes after he sent the message, a woman knocked on the door and walked in. Hello, I'm here to get my wallet. But the wallet isn't yours, Huamin asked cautiously. I'm his agent. It's not convenient for him to show up. Give it to me. Sure, but wait a second, let me confirm your identity. To prevent fraud, Huamin dialed that number again. Hello. The person picked up the phone. Your agent is here to get your wallet. I'll give it to her, is that okay? Sure. Okay. After speaking, Huamin quickly hung up the phone and handed the wallet over. The agent took the wallet and checked it to make sure that nothing was left out. Then, she took out 5,000 renminbi and handed it to Huamin. What's the meaning of this? Huamin looked at the agent, amused. Chapter 553. He's a public figure, so please don't tell anyone about this. Also, I'm sure you saw his age on his ID, so please don't say anything. You know that in the entertainment industry, age is a secret. This is just a reward. It's okay, I'll keep it a secret. Don't worry, just take the money. As an employee of Southside, I have basic manners. Okay. Seeing that Huamin didn't want to take the money, the agent didn't insist and turned to leave. As for Ni Yang's ID, she really didn't look at it. What did his age have to do with her? She wasn't a fan of celebrities, so she didn't care about women like Zhao Qingya or Jian Tong. While Su Yu was in the hospital, the film festival opened, and female celebrities came to visit him every day. She was used to seeing male celebrities trying to curry favor with their boss. Seeing that it was still early and there wasn't much to do at the hospital, Huamin drove back to the old house. Yang Meiyong was sunbathing with her tabby cat in her arms. Huamin saw this warm scene as soon as he entered the yard. Mom, why are you back? Yang Meiyong opened her eyes and saw Huamin. She seemed to be in a good mood. Nothing much, I just came to see you and buy you some groceries. Huamin knew that she ate very sparingly when she was alone at home, so he bought a lot of vegetables and meat when he passed by the supermarket. Then, he put them in the fridge for her. Don't waste money, I have food and there's a market nearby. Why waste money? Supermarkets are expensive. Yang Meiyong nagged. Huamin only smiled quietly. Jixin came back last night, and he brought a girl home, Yang Meiyong suddenly said. Huh? He told you? Huamin was a bit surprised. Yeah, although Jixin is a bit young, it's normal for him to be in a relationship. Which normal boy or girl doesn't date? I'm not that old-fashioned. That girl is quite pretty, she said she's from your hospital. Is that the same hospital you used to work at? Huamin nodded. Yes, she graduated from the same medical school as me. She often calls me senior sister. How's that girl's character? Yang Meiyong asked worriedly. His character is quite good, but he's still young after all. I'm afraid that the future is hard to predict. Aya, our family isn't good enough, and Jixin's university isn't good enough. I just want him to find a gentle girl and live the rest of his life peacefully. I don't ask for anything else. Huamin placed his hand on the back of his mother's hand. Mom, we will. I'll take care of Jixin's wedding, don't worry. Hair. It's still too early to talk about that. He hasn't graduated yet, and his marriage will only happen in a few years. Yeah, we're all worried about him. As his sister and his mother, we probably care too much about Jishin. Luckily, he's been very obedient all these years and hasn't caused any trouble for us. Everyone in the neighborhood knew how much Huamin loved Jishin. When they were little, as long as there was an apple, she would give it to Jishin. She had always spoiled him. Although she now knew that she was no longer related to him by blood, her love for Jishin only increased. Have you been tired from work lately? You don't seem to be in good spirits. I worked a few night shifts in a row. Maybe it's because I stayed up too late. Huamin smiled as he rubbed the dark circles under his eyes. If you stay up late, you need to sleep more. Don't run around, and drink more beauty soups. You're still young, don't look like an old woman. I know, Mom, I'll keep that in mind. Huamin smiled as he held onto her arm. It had been a long time since he dared to be so close to her. He was afraid that she would reject him. However, Yang Meirong's attitude towards Huamin seemed to have improved quite a bit. Maybe it was because of Jishin's raw last time that she was enlightened. Does he treat you well? After a long silence, Yang Meirong suddenly asked. Huamin knew that his mother was talking about Qin Chu. Chapter 554. Mom, to be honest, he's really, really good to me. Super, super good. Huamin used super twice in a row to magnify this good to the extreme. Yang Meiyong knew Huamin well. She wasn't a child who liked to lie, so she believed what she said was true. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. After all, he's not like his parents, who have a human face but a beast's heart. Mom, thank you for understanding. So what if I don't? It's been so long. Jishin was right about one thing. You've been tired, I've been tired, and everyone's tired. If I don't let go, you'll be the one suffering. We're mother and daughter, why should I make things difficult for my own daughter? Mom, thank you. Huamin grabbed Yang Meirong's hand, a little emotional. She didn't think that her mother would grant her wish so soon. If he dares to betray you in the future, Jishin and I won't let him off the hook. His family might be rich, but we're not afraid of him. I'm old, and I only have one life left. For you and Jishin, I'm willing to do anything. Yang Meiyong had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, so Huamin knew that she meant what she said. He won't, Mom, if he dares to betray me, I won't let him off the hook. Huamin smiled. She had a simple afternoon meal with her mother. There were 2 dishes, 1 meat dish, 1 vegetable dish, and soup. Yang Meiyong saw that Huamin wasn't in good spirits, so she kept pouring soup for her. Huamin couldn't refuse her kindness and drank 3 bowls. In the end, she couldn't drink anymore. After eating, she chatted with her mother for a while. Then, she looked at her phone and saw that it was about time. She had just returned to Southside when she heard that Director Lee from the neurology department wanted to talk to her about something urgent. Huamin changed into her white lab coat and immediately went to the neurology department on the 5th floor. Because of Huang Jiaming's incident, Huamin had interacted with the neurology department many times. After a while, she became familiar with them. Director Lee of the neurology department admired Huamin's talent. He had once told Director Wu at a conference. Huamin openly challenged Associate Hospital Director Guo, and his analysis of the Department of Neurology was clear and logical. At the time, Chief Lee thought that it was such a waste for Huamin to be the head nurse. Director Lee, are you looking for me? Director Lee was an old lady in her 50s. Although she was young, her hair was already white. He had a benevolent look on his face and was very popular. He was also very popular in Southside. Huamin, have a seat. Huamin nodded and sat on the chair opposite Director Lee's office. Huamin, I've always felt that you've studied neurology. Do you still remember Huang Jiaming? I remember. He went back to school after he was discharged. He's recovering very well. It's all thanks to the treatment plan you gave him. Chapter 555. Director Lee, this. Huamin looked at Director Lee in confusion. The medical records of superstars were supposed to be top secret. Was it really okay for Director Lee to show it to him in public? It's fine, I know what you want to ask. I trust you, Huamin. You've been at Southside for quite some time. As the saying goes, distance tests a horse, and time reveals a person's heart. I've gotten to know you well over the past few months. You're actually a kind-hearted girl. You don't like to meddle in other people's business because you're afraid of trouble, but you definitely don't condone evil. That's why you've offended Deputy Director Guo and his brother-in-law, right? Director Lee, I'm not as high and mighty as you make me out to be. I'm just working for a living, Huamin said with a humble smile. Kid, I've been in the hospital for a long time. I'm not wrong about people. Actually, I've already asked President Wu to let you help me in the neurology department, but I heard that you refused to be a doctor for in-service training. I don't want to ask about your personal reasons, it's all private. I just think it's a pity that you're such a talented person. Staying in the orthopedics department as a head nurse is a waste of your talents. Director Lee, actually, Let me finish, kid. Since Director Lee was quite old, Huamin felt very warm when she called him a kid. Okay, go ahead. Looking at how cute Director Lee was trying her best to convince him, Huamin truly thought she was an adorable old lady. Once, at the conference, I saw you openly refuting Deputy Dean Guo. You used the theoretical knowledge of professional neurology to make him slap his face. At that time, I felt that you didn't study it on a whim. You might also like this aspect, so you put in the effort, right? Yeah, I'm interested in neurology, ophthalmology, and neurosurgery. I studied a lot in school, but I don't have any clinical experience. When I was at the first hospital, I did my internship in the OB/GYN department. Huamin nodded and said honestly, I know. That's why I think that if you come to help me this time, you can treat it as a clinical trial. Are you willing to come? Director Lee, he's a superstar. If the treatment fails, it will damage your reputation. Are you sure you want me to come over? Huamin asked worriedly. Don't worry, I'll take responsibility no matter what happens. I won't implicate you. That's not what I meant. I'm just worried. Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of everything. Director Lee patted his chest and promised. Huamin was very touched. She had always admired people who were upright and kind. Needless to say, Director Lee's medical skills were excellent. As a professional professor, he was also very upright. Therefore, even though this matter had nothing to do with Huamin, she still agreed to Director Lee's request. If that's the case, I'll give it a try. Director, I might not succeed. Huamin didn't beat around the bush, I know. After all, depression can't be cured immediately. If it was cured, you would be a god. It's a mental illness that the whole world can't treat. N.I. Young's condition is quite bad. He also has insomnia and anxiety in his eyes. His agent is afraid that he can't take it anymore, so he came to ask for help. Also, because Southside is quite secretive, they chose us. Just do your best, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Okay. Huamin nodded. Then I'll take you to see the patient first. Why don't you talk to him first? Director Lee asked tentatively. Okay, but Director Lee, what about the orthopedics department? Don't worry about that. I'll ask President Wu to transfer a head nurse over to take care of it. You just need to focus on this case. Okay, I got it. One couldn't multitask. Huamin couldn't manage the orthopedics department and the neurology department at the same time. Fortunately, Director Lee was well prepared. She called President Wu and asked for a transfer. Not only did President Wu agree without hesitation, but he also agreed to let Director Lee train Huamin more. Huamin met with N.I. Young alone in the VIP consultation room of the neurology department. He was still wearing the same mask. He looked haggard as he sat on the windowsill and looked out the window. Hello, I'm your assistant physician, Huamin. Huamin introduced himself as soon as he entered the room, hoping to close the gap between him and N.I. Young. Chapter 556. Ni Yang turned his head to look at Huamin, but his expression didn't change at all. It's you. Obviously, he remembered her. Director Li invited me to participate in your treatment. I hope that you can cooperate with me during this period of time so that we can complete a treatment plan to alleviate your illness. I'm not sick, I just don't like to talk. Huamin smiled slightly. I know. Being in a bad mood for too long is also a type of illness. I won't treat you like a special patient, and you shouldn't treat yourself like a patient either. Let's just chat like friends. Hearing Huamin's words, Ni Yang seemed to let down his guard. He walked over and sat across from Huamin. Sister Ingzi said that you might leak my age to the media, but I said that you wouldn't. If I said that I didn't see your birth date on your ID, would you believe me? Huamin looked at him, feeling wronged. Ni Yang slowly took off his mask, revealing that clean and delicate face and that sorrowful smile. I believe you. I've always believed in the beauty of this world. That's why I fell so hard. He smiled bitterly. Huamin thought that Ni Yang had a heavy burden on his heart, as if he had been lied to before. Of course, this was just a guess, and it might not be true. Actually, sometimes, people aren't happy because they have more, but because they don't care too much. We can't care too much about our gains and losses, and we can't care too much about what others think of us. First of all, you have to face your own heart. When you don't doubt whether or not you're happy, then you're truly happy. Ni Yang froze slightly, then he laughed mockingly. You must have read too much Chicken Soup for the Soul on the internet. No, what I'm trying to say is that if you can understand, you might not be in so much pain. Huamin comforted him. I've heard many great truths, but I still can't live a good life. Ni Yang lowered his head and murmured. Compared to many of your peers, you're already very outstanding. You have tens of millions of fans, you have the halo of a superstar. You like to sing, so you sing. You want to release an album, so you release it. You're doing things that many people dream of. You're not happy probably because you've gotten too much. It's lonely at the top. When Ni Yang heard this, he seemed to be slightly moved. He lifted his head and looked at Huamin. If it's possible, I would really like to exchange places with you right now. You can be a superstar and I can be an ordinary person. You're wrong. You haven't experienced my life, so you think it's very peaceful. You don't know that everyone's life is full of storms and waves. Life can't be smooth sailing. You envy me because you don't understand me. If you understood my experience, perhaps you would be satisfied with your current life. Can my illness be cured? You're finally admitting that it's an illness. Huamin couldn't help but ask with a smile. Who was the one who said that he wasn't sick and that he was just in a bad mood? Didn't you say that being in a bad mood is also a type of illness? After speaking, the two looked at each other and smiled. Huamin saw that the timing was right, so he picked up the medical record and looked at it. Your situation is a bit complicated. Director Li diagnosed you with depression, insomnia, and anxiety. But I think you might have other conditions, such as neurasthenia, trigeminal and cerebrovascular pain, etc. So, I'm going to treat your insomnia first. A person's mental state can only improve after a good rest. I'm taking sleeping pills. Ni Yang said in a low voice. What I mean is, from now on, you can stop taking those sleeping pills. Why? Aren't you going to treat my insomnia? How am I going to treat it if I stop taking the pills? Ni Yang was a bit confused. At this moment, he wondered if Huamin was a professional or not. Chapter 557. Yes, I'm going to cure it completely, not let you rely on drugs. If you take too many sleeping pills, they will control the nerves in your brain. There will be a lot of side effects. Of course, if you trust me, I can give you a wholehearted plan. You can choose to continue living or not. After hearing this, Ni Yang was silent and hesitated for a long time. When Huamin came out of the VIP consultation room, she was smiling because Ni Yang finally compromised and chose to believe her. Treating depression was a long and arduous task. It was not something that could be done in a day or two. Since Director Li believed in her, she could not let her down. Girl, what are you busy with? Zhu Lingling sent Hua Min a WeChat message as soon as she got off the plane. I'm busy with my treatment. Guess who I just saw on the plane? It's actually the male star Zhong Yu, the guy who often acts as the second male lead in anti-Japanese dramas. He's quite handsome, but he's so stingy. He actually brought his agent and assistant to sit in economy class, and he even wore a big mask. Haha, Zhu Lingling said proudly. Can I say that I just saw Ni Yang? Fuck, who? Who did you see? Zhu Lingling suddenly lost her calm. Ni Yang. Fuck. 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 Zhu Lingling used 3 fucks to express her feelings at this moment. Why are you so surprised? Is it necessary? Yes, you don't know how mysterious Ni Yang is. He's so popular that it's almost purple, but his whereabouts are very mysterious and low-key. When he travels, not only does he sit in first class, but he also refuses to serve any service, not even meals. Even the stewardesses can't see him. At most, we see his back when he boards the plane, or his face with a mask and sunglasses. Did you know? The tabloid media out there is buying any information about Ni Yang. As long as it's related to him, even if it's just a yawn, a photo of him will be sold for 100,000 yuan. 100,000 yuan? Hua Min suddenly felt embarrassed. If she were to sell Ni Yang's ID card, wouldn't she be able to sell it for millions? If she were to be even more wicked and sell Ni Yang's medical records, wouldn't she be able to sell them for tens of millions? It was really easy to earn money. He could become rich in a matter of minutes. But would she do that? Of course not. Protecting the patient's privacy was the most basic morality of a medical worker. If he didn't even have this bit of morality, how could he stay in the medical field? Yes, 100,000 yuan. So you saw Ni Yang in the hospital. Did you take a photo? Zhu Lingling asked. No. Then why did Ni Yang go to your hospital? Visiting a friend. Hua Min made up a story. It wasn't that she didn't trust Ling Ling, but she was very angry. She didn't want to take the risk. She trusted Ling Ling, but what if Ling Ling also trusted someone else? If word got out, it wouldn't be good if news about Ni Yang got out. Oh, I think I heard about it too. I saw on the news that his fans are crazy and follow him everywhere he goes. Yeah, when he came to the hospital, there was a huge crowd outside. Hua Min knew this very well. Haha, then tell me, is Ni Yang handsome in person? Is he as handsome as your Mr. Qin? No, Hua Min said decisively. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, okay? Ni Yang is ranked number 1 in Asia's top 10 most attractive male celebrities in Asia. I don't follow celebrities, I don't understand, Hua Min replied calmly. How about compared to Su Yu? Is he as handsome as young Master Su? Zhu Lingling didn't give up. He's okay, I really don't know how to judge these things, sister. I know, you only have eyes for your Mr. Qin. Stop torturing us. Zhu Lingling giggled. After chatting with Zhu Lingling for a while, Hua Min went back to the orthopedics department to hand over some work. After all, he was going to be busy in the neurology department. After handing over his work, he was about to go eat when he ran into Su Yu in the hallway. Tang Chuan was with him, but Wei Liao was nowhere to be seen. Hello, head nurse. After witnessing Hua Mion's power, Tang Chuan would always greet her jokingly every time they met. Chapter 558. Hua Min nodded and smiled as a greeting. Where are you going? Tang Chuan asked playfully. I'm going to the staff cafeteria for dinner. Ha, what a coincidence, we haven't eaten yet either. Why don't we eat together? Tang Chuan volunteered. Su Yu, on the other hand, didn't say anything. He just looked at Hua Min. The food in our cafeteria is super disgusting, Hua Min reminded him in a friendly manner. It's okay, Lord Su, and I don't have any dietary restrictions. As long as it's food, it's fine, right? Lord Su. After saying this, Tang Chuan deliberately looked at Su Yu and asked, Then, he quietly added, I'll be discharged tomorrow morning. You won't have the chance to come to South Side so openly in the future. I'm giving you a chance, so you have to cherish it. Unexpectedly, after Su Yu heard what Tang Chuan said, he said, the food in your staff cafeteria is really disgusting, it's like pig feed. Tang Chuan, Huamin, bro, is it really okay for you to expose me like this? I can only help you up to this point. Tang Chuan thought that Su Yu was crazy. He was giving him a chance to treat his illness, but not only did he not appreciate it, he even said that the food in the staff cafeteria was like pig feed. How could he still have friends if he talked like this? However, only Huamin could treat someone like Su Yu. Huamin looked at him and said word by word, you're saying it like you've eaten pig feed before. Otherwise, how would you know that pig feed is disgusting? Tang Chuan, Su Yu, ha 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 ha. Huamin, you're awesome. Other than the wall, I won't submit to anyone but you. Tang Chuan burst into laughter and gave him a thumbs up. Su Yu's face darkened. I'm going to eat first. Bye. Huamin felt that there was no need to waste time with these two rich kids. The food in the staff cafeteria was bad, but if she didn't eat it, wouldn't her meal card be wasted? It was not a good habit to waste food from the motherland. He simply turned around and walked towards the restaurant. Unexpectedly, she had only taken a few steps when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned around and saw that the two of them had followed her. Hey, didn't you just say it was like pig swill? She looked at Su Yu in amusement and asked. Yes, I want to eat pig swill today. I don't want to eat anything else. Su Yu replied domineeringly. Huamin was so shocked that he was almost petrified. Don't lower yourself to his level. He's just as willful at home. Tang Chuan advised Huamin with a smile. 10 minutes later the three of them sat in the hospital's cafeteria. The scene of hundreds of people eating together was really spectacular. Ever since Su Yu retired from the military, he had never seen such a lively scene. Tang Chuan lowered his head and looked at the braised meatballs, stir-fried Chinese cabbage and wood ear, and a watermelon soup on his plate. He didn't know where to start. After all, these rich people had very tricky appetites. Usually, when Su Yu and Tang Chuan went to the cafeteria, they would order at least 10 dishes. They would only take a few bites of each dish just to taste it. This was the first time he saw such a shabby dinner. The problem was, it was really bad. Tang Chuan took a bite of the meatballs and immediately cursed, fuck, does this chef buy salt for free? I bet he put a bag of salt here. Huamin lowered his head and took a small bite as well. Then, he smiled and said, it's okay, it's always like this. I'm used to it. If you guys don't like it, then hurry up and leave. Don't take up seats here and waste food. To his surprise, Su Yu picked up his chopsticks and put the meatballs from Tang Chuan's plate onto his own. What are you doing? Lord Su? Didn't you say it was salty? Then I'll eat it for you. Oh, right, this isn't salty, you can have it all. After speaking, Su Yu gave all the stir-fried Chinese cabbage and wood ear to Tang Chuan. Tang Chuan suddenly felt like countless alpacas were running through his mind. Blackwood ear. Blackwood ear. This dish, let alone eating it, just looking at it made him sick. This South Side cafeteria was so dark. He really admired how Huamin could eat here every day. At this moment, they were so focused on eating that no one noticed the sound of a camera in the corner. GK headquarters Qin Chu had just finished a meeting and was about to get off work when he saw his mother walk in angrily. Son, I want to show you something. After speaking, Lady Qin took out her phone and showed it to Qin Chu. Chapter 559. After Qin Chu looked at the photos, he asked calmly, Mom, where did you get these photos? The photos were of Su Yu and Huamin eating together at a restaurant. They seemed to be talking and laughing. Su Yu looked at Huamin gently, while Huamin was eating with his head down. Although it was only a side profile, it was clear that it was Huamin. You don't need to know where I got these photos from. Don't you think this woman is indecent? She's already married to you, but she's still flirting outside. Our family is so rich, she doesn't need to worry about food and clothes, but she still wants to expose herself. If she's not despicable, then what is? Mom, did you ask someone to follow her and take these photos? Chin Chu's expression didn't look too good. It wasn't because of the photos of Huamin, but because he was afraid that his mother would follow Huamin and investigate her. Why would I? In your eyes, am I that kind of despicable and shameless person? Do I have nothing better to do than to secretly take photos of her? Is she worth it? An unknown number sent this to me an hour ago. I called back, but I couldn't get through. Lady Chin raised her voice and explained. Let me see. Chin Chu took his mother's phone and looked at it. It was indeed an MMS from another number. However, the number was garbled and couldn't be called back. Chin Chu knew that this number was created by hackers online. It wouldn't leave any traces. Okay, I got it. What do you mean you got it? You have to divorce her. The Chin family doesn't want a woman like her. After Mrs. Chin took the photos, she immediately ran to the company to complain to Chin Chu. She wanted to quickly destroy the relationship between Huamin and Chin Chu. Mom, you're too nervous. This is nothing, it's just a daily photo. She has so many people in the hospital, and so many male colleagues come and go. Isn't it normal for her to eat together? Chin Chu laughed. Heavens! Son, do you think I'm a fool? If it was an ordinary colleague, would I still be so angry? The man in the photo was not from the hospital. He was Su Yu. Did you know that? That second generation of the Su clan. Don't pretend you don't know. I know it's impossible that you don't know. Huamin is a vixen. Not only did she bewitch you, she's now seducing the Su clan. She's really shameless. I've never seen such a woman. Lady Chin was very agitated at this moment. It seemed that no amount of cursing was enough to vent her anger. She had always been prejudiced against Huamin, so she was about to explode from anger. Mom, so you know that person is Su Yu. That's impressive. Chin Chu smiled meaningfully. I occasionally drink tea and play cards with Mrs. Su, so of course I'm familiar with Su Yu. I don't even know when Su Yu met her. That woman is really restless. Son, we can't have her. We have to find a girl with a clean background to live with and have children with, okay? Listen to me. Lady Chin tried both soft and hard methods. When she saw that Chin Chu was unmoved, she began to put on a pitiful act and tried to persuade her son with tears in her eyes. Mom, do you think I'm a smart person or an idiot? When Lady Chin heard Chin Chu's question, she paused for a second before replying, Of course my son is a smart person. Then do you think I can't tell right from wrong? Do I only listen to one side of the story? Chin Chu asked again. This isn't just one side of the story. This is solid evidence. Son, wake up. Look at these photos. Although they're not in bed, I believe that these are signs of cheating. Su Yu isn't an ordinary person. I don't believe that their meeting was a coincidence. It must be that woman's deliberate plan, just like how she purposely approached you at second high. Lady Chin always thought that Huamin and Chin Chu were set up so that she could marry into a rich family. Chapter 560. Mom. I'm very clear-headed. If you admit that I'm not an idiot, then trust my judgment, okay? Chu. Mom wants to talk to you. However, before Mrs. Chin could finish her sentence, her son interrupted her. Yang, take my mom out. She's tired, Chin Chu ordered coldly. Yes, sir. Mrs. Chairman, this way please. The president still has important documents to sign. Yang carefully watched the mother and son battle, not daring to offend either of them. In the end, Lady Chin had no choice but to clench her teeth and leave. Chin Chu then lowered his head and went back to work. When it was almost time to get off work, he turned off his computer and asked Yang, Tell me, if your mom and your wife fell into the water at the same time, who would you save first? Sir, stop messing around. Hurry up and tell me, Chin Chu urged. Of course it would be my mom, Yang answered confidently. You're so filial. Chin Chu didn't think that the wife-loving Yang would choose his mother without hesitation. It was quite surprising. Because my wife knows how to swim, Hey. Chin Chu was speechless. I'll deduct all of your bonuses for this month. After speaking, Chin Chu got up and walked out. Sir, you can't be like this. If you're not happy with my answer, you'll deduct my bonus. Then I'll answer again. I'll save my wife first. Then you won't get next month's bonus either. How unfilial, Chin Chu said in all seriousness. Another bolt from the blue. Sir, if you want to deduct my bonus, just say so. Don't ask such complicated questions next time, okay? Young felt wronged. I already recorded what we just said. I'll send it to your wife in a bit so she can listen to it. Fuck. Young's heart was boiling. Sir, what do you need me to do? Please tell me. I'm willing to do anything for you, as long as you don't torture me like this. You don't have to do anything for me, but you need to be more careful in the future and don't let my mom into the office. So it was about that. Assistant Yang immediately let out a sigh of relief. Don't worry, boss. The next time your mother comes, I'll immediately kick her out. No, I'll ask her to leave. I promise I won't let the chairman's wife enter your office, even if she yells at me. For the sake of the bonus, Yang was ready to go all out. Okay. Chin Chu nodded with satisfaction. But, what if the chairman comes? Do I have to kick him out? No. Do I have to ask him to leave? Yang asked hesitantly. No need. My dad won't come looking for me easily. Chin Chu knew his father well. He was a cautious person. He wouldn't be like his mother, who couldn't wait for the whole world to know the slightest sign of trouble. After leaving GK, he didn't go home because Huamin wasn't home. He had been working the night shift lately. Thus, he drove to Southside. The weather in late autumn was already a little cold, especially at night. The temperature dropped a lot. Chin Chu was wearing a limited edition VR jacket. It was navy blue with a pure white long-sleeved shirt inside. It matched perfectly. After all, with a good-looking face, anything he wore would be off the charts. Are you off work yet? Want to come out for a drink? Gao Ran sent him a WeChat message. No, I have to keep my wife company, Chin Chu proudly replied. Wait, sharp-tongued Ling said that your wife has been working the night shift lately. Gao Ran was indeed a detective and was well informed. That's why I have to go to the hospital with her. Damn. I can't take it anymore. Can't you stop torturing me with your words? Gao Ran looked at him with disdain and then hung up. Huamin was currently in his office flipping through files and medical records of patients with depression. He was coming up with a treatment plan for Ni Yang. She smiled sweetly when she received the call. Honey, did you miss me? Chin Chu asked on the other end of the phone. I did, Huamin replied with a smile. Did you want to see me? Yes, let's do a video call. As he spoke, Huamin picked up his phone and was about to turn on the video call mode. Just as he was about to do a video call, he saw the person in the office push open, and then her gorgeous husband stood at the door. You. Huamin was pleasantly surprised. Chapter 561. Ah. Am I hallucinating? Why is Mr. Chin here? Huamin smiled. Because Mr. Chin misses you a lot. Chin Chu's lips were filled with gentleness. If you were lucky enough to look into his eyes right now, you would definitely melt into his gentle gaze. Without another word, Huamin threw herself at him. She wrapped her arms around Chin Chu's neck. Luckily, they were in a private office, so no one could see the head nurse, who was usually so calm and collected. She also had such a coquettish and clingy side. Did you just get off work? Huamin looked up and asked with a smile. Yeah. You haven't eaten yet, right? No. Then what should I do? I already ate. If I knew you were coming, I wouldn't have eaten. It's okay, I'm not hungry. No, wait for me, I'll find you something to eat. Huamin held onto Chin Chu's hand and sat him down on a chair. Then, she opened a small cabinet under her desk. She rummaged through the cabinets and took out a bunch of snacks. They were all snacks that she had to eat to save time when she was busy with work. There was sachima, date cake, Marco Polo ham, jelly with fruit, and mungyo yogurt. Hurry up and eat some, it's not good for your stomach if you starve for too long. Make do with these for now, I'll take you to a nearby restaurant after I'm done with work. It's okay, I'll eat these. Chin Chu never ate snacks, but he knew how Huamin felt. She wanted to share all the good food with him, just like how a kindergarten kid would share lollipops with their friends. Chin Chu picked up the cake and took a bite, then drank a mouthful of yogurt. Huamin immediately picked up a tissue from the table and handed it to him. Have you been busy lately? Chin Chu asked with concern. Huamin felt a little guilty. Yes. The orthopedics department is already very busy, and I received a neurology patient from Chief Li today. So, I might be even busier in the future. Once she got busy, she would have a lot of night shifts, so she would have very little time to accompany Chin Chu. I'm fine, as long as you take care of your body. I'm just worried that you'll be too tired and your body won't be able to take it. I won't. I'll be careful. I won't let Mr. Chin worry, I promise. Huamin smiled and raised his hand. Chin Chu looked at her and smiled dotingly. Chin Chu knew that Huamin loved medical research, so he was 100% supportive of her career. She would never complain that you worked so hard and couldn't earn much. This was because many professions couldn't be measured by money. They were more in terms of value. When a person's heart is small, their perspective will be small, and their vision will also be small. When a person's heart is large, their vision will also be large, and their vision will also be large. Chin Chu always knew that Huamin wasn't a normal person, and that his wife was a medical genius who was beyond arrogant. Honey, you did your PhD at Harvard, so you must know a lot of top professors. Do you know anything about neurology? A little. Chin Chu put down the yogurt and looked at Huamin as he replied humbly. I have a difficult neurology problem that I might need your help with. Take a look at this patient's condition first. Huamin organized Ni Yang's condition into detailed information and handed it to Chin Chu. After Chin Chu read it carefully, he concluded, this person is in the late stages of depression and is at risk of suicide at any time. The chances of him being cured are very low. If he were in the States, the doctors would recommend him to take tranquilizers to control his emotions. That's right, he's taking tranquilizers right now, but the effects aren't good. Maybe it's because of his career, but he's under a lot of pressure. Most importantly, I think he might have been betrayed, so he's been suppressed and can't release his emotions. My suggestion is for him to stop taking tranquilizers and do psychological rehabilitation first. How do you plan on treating him? Chin Chu looked at her and asked quietly. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.